Joe Morrison liked what he saw as expectations rose in Columbia. With record-setting quarterback Todd Ellis and a devastating defense, the Gamecocks rose to number 8 in the nation. But then Carolina hit the road with a narrow win and a shutout loss at Georgia Tech. And now with Florida State and Clemson still ahead, tonight's game with NC State looms as a must if the Gamecocks want to close like they began. Dick Sheridan is the mastermind of the best-kept secret on Tobacco Road. The Wolfpack of NC State is 6-1 and making believers of everyone. NC State has done it with defense, and last week Clemson became the 4th straight team not to visit the Wolfpack end zone. So optimism is high in Raleigh, but respect is what NC State is looking for. This is Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh, the home of the NC State Wolfpack, and they've been waiting for the visit from the guys from the south of here, the Gamecocks of South Carolina. South Carolina comes in ranked number 17 in the nation. NC State looking for revenge after what happened to them in this series a year ago. Good evening, I'm Bob Carpenter, and we always talk about what directions and which teams are heading. Well, how about the directions from which these teams are coming into this game tonight? A big upset a couple of weeks ago as Georgia Tech shut out South Carolina, a real shocker. Meanwhile, NC State, an impressive low-scoring win, that's pretty par for the course for them, over Clemson a week ago. And Kevin Kiley, this South Carolina team has had 2 weeks to sit around and think about that debacle against Georgia Tech.
Yeah, Bobby, this joint is jumping here tonight. They're going to have a problem. Todd Ellis started the year very strong, quarterback for South Carolina. He threw 9 interceptions, though, in the past 2 games. A quarterback, well, he gets the credit and he gets the blame. For Ellis, to be truthful, he's had some problems because he doesn't have the same receivers. He lost Ryan Bethea, Sterling Sharp, 2 great receivers from last year's team. And Harold Green, the great running back, has been injured. But Green is feeling better. We're 2 weeks down the road, ready to get ready for this thing. And I think South Carolina play a good game.
They'll have to play a good game offensively because defensively, North Carolina State, along with Auburn, the top 2 in the nation.
Well, there's a pack of wolves here, right? The Wolfpack. This is a great defensive team, but they've got a problem. Last week against Clemson, they lost their #1 tackler, their emotional leader, Fred Stone, the inside linebacker. He'll be replaced by a guy named Ray Frost, who has not played this year. They wanted to redshirt him. Last year, he filled in for Stone, played most of the year, 7 games he started. He's got to come back off the redshirt list to lead the North Carolina #1 defense going into today's action in tonight's game.
All right, so it's a matchup of good offense to the visitors, great defense by the home team, and we'll take you down to the field now as South Carolina gets set to take the field for what is the most important game for them. For first place in the ACC, the conference not at stake tonight, but here comes the Wolfpack.
Welcome back to Raleigh. I'm Chris Fowler. The South Carolina football program and head coach Joe Morrison were rocked last week by an article which appeared in Sports Illustrated written by former Gamecock player Tommy Chaikin. And in that article, Chaikin alleged that 2 seasons ago, half the Gamecock players were using steroids and that some members of the coaching staff knew about this and did not take serious steps to prevent it. Now, the university has denied these allegations. Joe Morrison has said he did not know about steroid use 2 years ago. one of the men involved in trying to put out the fire with this controversy, the athletic director for the University of South Carolina, King Dixon, the fourth man to hold that position in the last year. Now, you've compared the challenge of dealing with this to leading men into combat as a Marine officer. What steps will you take, King?
Chris, we really have a challenge at the university. Number one, back in April of this year, we really put into practice there a new wellness, alcohol, drug, health program to try to prevent any type of recurrence if, in fact, any of these allegations are true. We're very comfortable with our program, and now we're trying to regroup and turn this into a very positive situation. We're all aware of these steroid allegations, and by God, if any of them are true, let's learn a lesson from them.
You've called for more discipline within the athletic program. Will retesting right now, perhaps by an independent testing group, be one of the things they'll do to try to clear the air?
Chris, we're talking about really getting our guys together, driving on for the future. We believe that we have a wonderful program going, and we're going to turn it around.
Has the situation affected the job status of Coach Joe Morrison at all?
Joe Morrison and I are very close friends. Joe has a firm command of things, and I hope he does for this ball game tonight.
Okay, thanks very much for joining us, King. Just as a footnote, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division will conduct a preliminary inquiry, not an investigation, but an inquiry to see if there is enough evidence here to conduct a full investigation. Back upstairs to Bob and Kevin.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. We're just about set for kickoff, and Joe Morrison, Kevin, says that coaches have to educate and advise young men, but somewhere along the line, the decision is still left up to the individual, and that's something for youngsters to know everywhere.
Right. If you're a football player and you want to get big, I suggest you get a milkshake and lift the weights. I know personally I gained 50 pounds in 2 years without taking steroids, and I didn't lose a whole lot of quickness, and I wasn't all that great. You can do it without steroids, kids. Don't even think about it.
Brian Carter kicks it off for NC State. It's Gerald Williams inside his 5, right up the middle. He's got good yardage over the 30 to the 40-yard line. And it'll be good field position for the visiting team to start things off. South Carolina offense. Todd Ellis struggling a bit lately. He's thrown 9 interceptions in the last 2 games. Complimentary running backs. Fullback Keith Bring, the blocker. Tailback Harold Green, the top runner. Freshman Robert Brooks, sophomore Anthony Parler are the receivers. They're lining up quickly in the eye. Ellis behind center. Randy Harwell. And to throw on first down to the right side, it's Harold Green, the tailback, and he's lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. Jesse Campbell, strong safety, made the stop. Carl Platt, really more of a wide receiver than a tight end. Fifth-year senior Randy Harwell is the center. Senior Paul Shivers, sophomore Calvin Stevens, the guards. Ike Harris, the sophomore. Junior Mark Fryer, the offensive tackles. No gain on the play. It'll be 2nd and 10. South Carolina, along with NC State, 6-1 on the year. First time the Gamecocks have played in 2 weeks. The pitch is to the tailback, Harold Green. Good yardage across midfield for a first down. Fernandez Vinson, the left cornerback, came up to get him. NC State defensively. The versatile state defense anchored by senior nose guard John Adlita. Ray Agnew, the star on the left side. Derek Debenham, the tackles. Scott Auer, a good senior next to Agnew. Bobby Houston, the outside linebackers. Sophomores Ray Frost and Corey Edmond, the inside backers. Fred Stone injured. Sophomores Jesse Campbell, a budding freshman star at strong safety. Senior Michael Brooks at free safety. First down at the 47 of NC State. Whistles and flags as Harold Green, the tailback, again the carrier. Fernandez Vincent from left cornerback. A flag is laying at the 37-yard line of NC State. Too late in getting off the snap.
Dead ball foul. Delay of game on offense. First down.
What about the change of offense by the South Carolina team, Kevin, since last year from the run and shoot to the multiple set?
Al Grove, former Wake Forest coach, and then with the Atlanta Falcons, now back in college, has changed the offense from the run and shoot to a multiple offense, mainly to help Todd Ellis, and we'll talk about that.
And, of course, Harold Green's skills come into play. It's 1st and 15. Back at the 48-yard line, it looked like Trent Simpson, the tight end on the left side, jumped across. Number 80, the man going across the line of scrimmage early.
That goes right along with what we just talked about. In last year's offense, South Carolina had no true tight ends. What they've had to do is develop tight ends like Trent Simpson and Watson and George Rush, who is not really even a true tight end himself. He's a flanker type. So the bigger players, the tight end type player, is somebody who's very young on this team and new to the position.
Now it's 1st and 20, back at the 43. The pitch to the left to Harold Green, looking to get outside. And here come the Wolfpack. Michael Brooks from free safety. Great pursuit that time as they strung it out to the far side. It'll be 2nd and very long.
Well, Brooks makes the play, but watch number 21, Joe Johnson. So quick. He stepped inside and then watch himself work outside. He's going to get blocked, but 21, right to the right of your screen, is the fella that strung it out. And then here comes the rest of the Wolfpack defense. Team defense. They're very quick defensively, North Carolina State.
It'll be 2nd and 22. They actually lost a couple on the play. They were well across midfield. They've got to get all the way down to the 36 of NC State for a first down. Ellis with a screen. Right side, it's Harold Green. Nothing doing there as Scott Auer, the outside linebacker on the left side, a 6'2 senior, came up to make the play. Limping off a bit is Derek Debnam. That's the right tackle you're watching. And it'll be 3rd and 18.
This is a defense that was 8th in the ACC last year. Coming into today's action, Auburn was number 2, North Carolina number 1, North Carolina State number 1 in the nation defensively.
Mike Jones, a sophomore, is into the game replacing Debnam on 3rd and 18. Pressure, and it's incomplete. The Wolfpack will get the football. John Adlita pressuring the passer Ellis. Even had that been completed, only would have gained about 4 or 5 yards. So the Pack defense holds. And we'll get our first look of the night at Rodney Price, who's the punter for South Carolina. Rodney's averaging 38 yards a kick. 42 as a sophomore last year when he was honorable mention All-America. Wide receiver Naz Worthen back at his own 15 to receive it for the Wolfpack. Spiral will carry way down to the 7. Worthen, maybe 5 yards on the return. He was racked up pretty well by the special teams. The Wolfpack offensively, Shane Montgomery, one of 3 quarterbacks we could see tonight. Fullback Mal Crider is a key blocker. Tailback Todd Barn, one of 3 that could play there. Seniors Danny Peebles, Eugene Peters, fast and dangerous. We'll also see Naz Worthen there. Tight end senior Bobby Harrell. The center is all AC performer Chuck Massaro. The guards junior Lance Hammond and sophomore Rich Pokrant. And the senior Brock Miller, redshirt freshman Scott Adell are the tackles. Penalty flag is laying at the 37. It'll go against South Carolina. Kevin, it'll be very interesting here early to watch the Gamecock defense. Ever since they beat Georgia, they haven't played well early, and Georgia Tech took it 80-plus twice on them early 2 weeks ago.
On the offensive team, during the run back, 15 yards, touchdown.
Bobby, this is one of my favorite defenses in all of the nation to watch. It's a pressure defense, an emotional type defense. They'll come after you, and they are ranked 6th in the nation.
Shane Montgomery, right flat. Look at the turn inside by Naz Worthen for 9 yards and maybe more. He came in averaging 15 yards a catch. Defensively, the Gamecocks will go with sophomore Tim Hyde, the nose guard. All-American Roy Hart is gone from there. Redshirt freshman Marty Dye, senior Derek Frazier are the tackles. With Shane Montgomery a quarterback, we'll see NC State go quite often into the hurry-up offense. He can really zip the ball out. Defensive tackles, we'll look at them. There's Dye and Frazier. Then we go to the defensive ends. Kevin Hendricks, the best defender on the team. Junior David Taylor on the open side. The inside backers are senior Derek Little and sophomore Patrick Hinton. Veterans Robert Robinson and Stephon Williams at the corners. And with Ron Rabune hurt, Scott Windsor and Pat Turner are the South Carolina safeties. It'll be 2nd and 1. Now Cripe, the fullback, Todd Barn, the tailback, and down to the nearly out to the 40-yard line. It's Kreit, the fullback, first man through. A real workman averaging 4 yards a carry. Nose guard Tim High got it.
Here it is, short yardage, good blocking up front. The ball carrier slips down. That's Mal Kreit. The footing here was not great over the last 2 days. It rained when we got to town on Thursday, and the field is not in great shape.
Interesting backfield configuration here. Now they hurry it up out to the left. There's Nasworthen again. 30th catch of the year. He's up around 450 yards. Very interesting story. This guy, Kevin, in trouble and suspended a year ago.
A year ago, but he faced up to the problem. He handled it with dignity. He sat out a year. Nasworthen, now the captain of the team. Not very often you see a kid suspended, comes back, he's the captain the next year, and a great player.
Just call him Naz. And almost picked off as coming up to play the pass was strong safety Scott Windsor. Shane Montgomery, a 6'1 junior out of Newark, Ohio.
You notice they go without a huddle. The reason they do that is to simplify the defense. When you go without a huddle, you cannot make a whole lot of defensive calls. Kind of puzzles me because South Carolina, not a very complicated defensive team to begin with.
3rd and 3. Worthen and Peebles out to the right side. That's where they go. It is Peebles. Danny, a 6-foot senior. Robert Robinson, the left cornerback, with the stop, but not before an NC State first down. The ball will be spotted inside the 46 of the Gamecocks, so NC State on the move and back out ready to play in a hurry. Danny Peebles averaging 21 yards a catch. Number 8, top of your screen. Not much mystery here. Montgomery just looking out that way and over firing it. Peebles, the intended receiver, down around the 35-yard line.
I'll tell you what's a surprise is that Carolina, I better not say Carolina tonight. The Gamecocks, Jolie Dunn, you see the defense coordinator, they're playing zone primarily. This is a man-to-man, stuff them on the outside, play man-to-man with the corners. They're playing zone, and they have been very close to a couple of these passes, but they have not turned around. They've been running back into their zones. If they turn around, they might pick one off.
Montgomery 3 for 4, 25 yards. He'll throw for the 5th time. Out to the left flat, and a pretty good hit on Mike Kavulik by, again, the strong safety, Scott Windsor. A very versatile performer is number 20, who can also play the open side end. In other words, a defensive end that does some chasing, and he's a pretty good pass protector back in the secondary.
This is a guy, they call him a safety. This is zone with man under. See, Windsor's got man coverage, number 20, but they're playing zone back deep. Now, Windsor all over the receiver here. He weighs 225 pounds. They list him as a safety. He's a pounder.
Danny Peebles and Nasworthen in on 3rd and 10. Peebles to the right, Worthen to the left. They're looking left side. It's in the air. Easy catch for a first down inside the 25. Nasworthen. A 22-yard gain on 3rd and 10.
It's got to be blown coverage. Pat Turner, number 12, is in for Rob Rabune, who is one of the leading players on the defense, the leading tackler. And Turner nowhere near Nasworthen. That can't happen. He's their top receiver.
Rabune dislocated his shoulder against Georgia Tech. A lot of things went wrong that day. Worthen's caught 3 balls for 47 yards already. Looks like the fullback, first man through, Mal Kreit. Good yardage inside the 20, down to the 17. So the clock is running with 5 minutes and 20 seconds elapsed. Joe Morrison after number 100 career here this evening. Of course, he had some pretty good years at New Mexico. Went 10-1 there one year. Went 10-2 one year at South Carolina. This one will be intercepted. Patrick Hinton, and he is going to go. Just when NC State was looking to score, Patrick Hinton with a long return.
I talked about this just a few minutes ago. Hinton, usually they blitz their inside backers. Hinton is dropping into the short zone in front of the receiver. You see him? Now, he did not have Worthen. He had the underneath coverage in front of Worthen. Earlier, he didn't turn around. That time, he was looking at the quarterback, and he made the interception.
Colin Mackey, 21 for 21 now. And a big play by the defense early. 83 yards on the return. South Carolina on top early. With Kevin Kiley and Chris Fowler, Bob Carpenter here in Raleigh. The home team shocked by an 83-yard interception return for a touchdown by sophomore Patrick Hinton, who now, as a second-year player, has 6 career interceptions.
Great athlete. You have to be a great athlete. Now, this is not the touchdown, but this is an earlier play. I want you to watch 46 Hinton. He will not intercept this one, but look at the position. See where he is? That was him on the left of your screen. They completed it to Peoples. They tried it again, and Hinton picked it off and scored. And I had told you he was in position, but he wasn't looking earlier. As soon as he turned his head, the ball was there.
11:30 a.m. tomorrow. Be with ESPN for NFL Game Day with Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, Pete Axthelm, and John Saunders. At 7 p.m. a new start time, so mark it down. They're all back with highlights of every NFL game played on NFL Primetime. And then at 8 p.m., the regular season premiere of our live NFL coverage. Join Mike Patrick and Joe Theismann for the Redskins and the Oilers. Just the first of 8 consecutive Sunday night NFL telecasts on ESPN.
Well, they talked about the Gamecock defense not playing with enthusiasm early in the game. That ought to cure it.
Eric Markle to kick it off. Chris Williams for NC State. Back inside his own 5. He's flanked by Todd Thorne, as well as Shad Santee. It'll go to Williams. Nothing there. Big play on special teams by 81 linebacker Robert Gibson, performing on special teams. Now coming into today, NC State, the leader over Auburn. That might change.
Auburn shut out Florida, of course. Florida was third. That was a great defensive game until late. South Carolina very strong defensively. Always are. But, you know, NC State won the toss, and they deferred until the second half. Their defense did the job, but their offense gave up a score, and that's got to be a little demoralizing.
Yeah, it was looking good for a while. Tyrone Jackson, an exciting redshirt freshman in the game. Meanwhile, Shane Montgomery will still throw it, and it was way behind his intended receiver, Danny Peebles, who cut inside while the ball went outside. Patrick Hinton, the linebacker who made the big play a few moments ago, in the face of the quarterback with some pressure. They're
playing straight zone most of the time, and that's got to be messing up the North Carolina State people. They had to expect man cover.
2nd and 10. 9:05 remaining. First quarter. Montgomery changing things at the line of scrimmage. 5 seconds to get off the snap as they do it. And it's short out to the right side. Chris Williams, a tailback, circling out, but uncatchable.
There are 3 quarterbacks that could play tonight for North Carolina State. The reason Shane Montgomery is in there, as you look at Pogue right there, now he's normally the starter. The reason Montgomery is in there is because he reads defenses better, and he has the ability to check off at the line of scrimmage, which you just saw him do. South Carolina, a team that will do a lot of different things defensively to try to mess you up.
Worthen and Peebles out wide on 3rd and 10. Nobody will catch this one. Naz Worthen was held up about 5 yards off the line of scrimmage as he made his cut. He just couldn't get outside. And so the Wolfpack will have to kick the football away, and the folks who came up from Columbia, South Carolina, dressed in black, trimmed in red, are making some noise.
I have a feeling you're going to see Pogue on the next series. With them playing zone, they're going to have to go back to the running game, to the option, try to get Montgomery out of there. They have to establish themselves offensively. Preston Pogue, also the punter. That's him.
Yep. Replacing Craig Salmon, the All-ACC punter of a year ago. Pogue is averaging 41 yards a kick, end over end. He can only hope for the bounce. And the ball evidently hit Kent Jordan up midfield. Welcome back to Carter Finley Stadium, Raleigh, North Carolina, home of the Wolfpack. Trailing early, 7-0 to Joe Morrison and his Gamecocks of South Carolina. Good field position for the Gamecocks. With the ball almost at the 49. Ellis is 2 for 3 so far. He gives it to Keith Bing, the fullback. First man through is 6'2", 208 senior. Ray Frost starting at the left inside linebacker, the strong side backer position, making the stop for NC State. Clock runs with 8.5 minutes in the first quarter. Todd Ellis, 57% completion rate on his career. 37 touchdown passes, but 59 intercepted. 9 of those over the last 2 ball games. They throw out to the right, tipped, and in position to make the pickoff was Joe Johnson. Had the ball been popped up in the air off the tip of Scott Auer. Dangerous to go wide on that play.
This guy's a great player, Auer, number 95. You're looking at him. He's got 15 hurries. That means he was close to a sack 15 times. Has 7 sacks on the year. Very mobile, very fast, and 225 pounds.
Most of the time, opponents will run away from his side. That time, they almost paid big time trying to throw to that side. It's 3rd and 3. The pitch to Harold Green. Feeling his way, and no way for the first down. Bumped out in between the 46 and the 45 by the drop end, the outside linebacker, if you will, Bobby Houston, and it'll be kicking time for the visiting team. Rodney Price, an honorable mention All-American as a sophomore a year ago, as he averaged 42 yards a kick. There's Naz Worthen. Price will spiral it toward the end zone. And a great bounce. It is downed inside the 5. He twisted it perfectly toward the flag. Marty Baker, defensive back on special teams, knocking it down and down to the sidelines. Here's Chris Fowler.
Okay, Bob, thank you. We've told you about the 9 interceptions Todd Ellis has thrown in the last 2 games. Offensive coordinator Al Groh told us the problem with Ellis, he's been throwing the ball when he shouldn't. He's so competitive, wants to make a big play every time instead of just taking the sack. He's working with Ellis after practice and some special drills. Here's Donnie. What Groh has done is move past Ellis, tugged on his jersey. We'll have to see if he reacts to the pressure differently tonight, guys.
Nothing doing that offensive series for South Carolina, and good yardage straight ahead for the fullback, Mal Crite. This is where he's the most valuable man in the backfield because he holds on to the football. He grinds yards out. A career 900-plus gained. He's a senior. And they'll hurry it up even down here. It'll be 2nd and 5. Right up the middle to the 10-yard line. It'll leave them with a 3rd and a long 2 as Patrick Blackwell, a sophomore, backing up right tackle Derek Frazier, made the stop.
It's a very tough team to run the ball against. South Carolina commits a lot of people to the run normally. Tonight, of course, they came out in the zone, but this could be a difficult spot on the field for a team playing against South Carolina.
3rd and 2. Montgomery, left side, catching it as Naz Worthen. First down, past the 19-yard line. Pat Turner, the free safety who's replacing Ron Rabune, the senior, who Kevin alluded to earlier, on the stop. Interesting and good call on 3rd and 2.
Guy that made that play was 41, Mal Crite. Did a great job picking up the blitz in the backfield and giving Montgomery time to throw it to Worthen. Watch right at the middle. Watch 41 right there. Great block. Montgomery doesn't even feel the pressure. He gets the ball out to Worthen, who's got man-to-man coverage, and they get a big first down. This is a great job. You know, this is something that you rarely see. See 41 there? You rarely see it. And a good pass by Montgomery, not paying attention to the South Carolina defense, and Worthen getting upfield.
Kevin, from that replay, you get a look at how dangerous Naz Worthen is once he catches the football. The injured player is Bobby Brown, a redshirt freshman reserve tackle for South Carolina. Hate to see him carried off. South Carolina on top 7-0 with less than 7 minutes remaining in the first quarter of play. Chris Williams will check in for NC State as they will have a first down out near their own 20-yard line. Shane Montgomery 5 for 11 with 1 intercepted. He's thrown for 57 yards so far. Single back set. And that single back does some blocking as he throws it right side. Danny Peebles out over the 30. It'll be another NC State first down, that time good for a dozen yards. Well, a real wild one just down the road in North Carolina today.
Last play of the game, Maryland won that game.
Duke, 10-point win over Georgia Tech. Tech playing better these days, and Virginia had all kinds of problems with the Hokies before holding on for a 6-point win. Montgomery again. Out to the right side, it's tailback Chris Williams. So Shane Montgomery is an equal opportunity thrower. He's spreading the passes around to all kinds of different people.
And you'll see a lot of different players because North Carolina State plays a tremendous amount of people. They have a lot of depth, and they'll use a lot of receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, a lot of guys.
Hurry-up offense makes it 2nd and 7. Montgomery shifting his backs into the eye. And straight ahead, Chris Williams. Williams averaging just 3 yards a carry, 9 per catch. Derek Little and Tim High, linebacker and nose guard, in on the stop for South Carolina. The Gamecocks came in giving up 115 yards rushing, 140 passing, 255 total defensive game. And as our graphic showed you earlier, good defensive team. They've only given up 12.5 points a game. Now it's 3rd and 6. He stepped, and there to get him for South Carolina, number 42, is David Taylor, the linebacker.
Here's why Montgomery's in the game. He's calling an audible, changing the play because he sees something defensively. Now, this is something he does better than the other quarterbacks, but you can change the play all you want. When you get coverage like they had on Nasworth and on that play, you're going to get a sack.
Carl Platt back to receive the kick of Preston Pogue. On the run, he takes it out to 37 and down to the 40-yard line. Looked like the short man got it. Robert Brooks back on the punt return team. 5:10 first quarter. South Carolina by a touchdown. Fred Stone, what a frustrating 2 years. Broke his ankle last year, knee ligaments against Clemson recently, and he is out for the season.
Not only the emotional leader, but when they lose him, they lose 74 tackles, 2 sacks, 5 hurries, 3 interceptions, and 2 fumbles caused so far this year. He's gone for the year, and that hurts.
Then they plug 2 freshmen and 2 sophomores into those inside linebacker positions. Good field position for USC of the East, I guess we'll call him. Straight ahead goes Keith Bing. He's across the 40. Being a 6'2", 208 senior out of Aiken, South Carolina, averages 4 yards a carry. He's the only running back who managed to play in the spring. A bunch of injuries they had.
Joe Pate, the Wolfpack defensive coordinator, felt that North Carolina State had to stop the Gamecock running game first.
2nd down and 6. Pitch to the deep man, Harold Green. He turns the corner, look out. He gets inside the 35. They need to get to the 31 for the first down. So he'll get about 3 on the carry. Harold Green has been hobbled a little bit this year, but he's getting stronger every game.
Number 68, Calvin Stevens. If you're a linebacker, look at Ray Frost, 49, reading the linebacker pulling. He comes in, he destroys that block. The rest of the defense catches up, and now Frost is the guy that has replaced Stone. He read Stevens, was able to blow it up in the backfield, and that's what stopped the play.
Double tight ends, Trent Simpson and Ike Harris in there. On 3rd and short, the pitch to Green. What a hit. Number 2 is Fernandez Vinson, the left cornerback. Met him head on. It looked like there was no way Green would be stopped for the first down.
You got to be impressed with the red jerseys. Watch how many get in front of this play. True sophomore Vincent is going to make the tackle. No way to go outside, and here comes Vincent. Look at all the red shirts to the sideline. Gamecocks tried to run to the boundary. They will try that again. North Carolina State very, very quick to the sideline.
Sophomore Colin Mackey into the game for the field goal attempt. Mackey last year, number 1 in the NCAA with 25 field goals as a freshman. Pretty good from the long distance of 40 to 49. He's been most consistent in his career, 10 for 15 on the season. They'll bring the chains all the way across for the measurement. It appeared, though, he was stopped short. A good yard.
they decide to go for this, they have been running to the weak side.
Well, Mackey checks back out.
All right, North Carolina State defensively defends the wide side or the open side of the field. It's on the right hash. So if I'm playing defense, I'm looking for him to run right here.
Clock running with 3.5 minutes first quarter. South Carolina already on top and going for it on 4th down. And easily over the 30 for the first down. Harold Green, Bobby Houston, the outside linebacker on the right side, finally brought him down.
The key is the line, and who wins at the line of scrimmage? The offensive line, you can see they just get off quicker. And then the running back able to find, that's Harold Green, able to find the hole. And you know, you don't run the holes anymore. You look for holes. When you find one, you run up in there. That's good offense by the Gamecocks.
You also saw fullback Keith Bing come ramming in there for a block. Ellis flares it out, right side. 22, Harold Green, inside the 10. It finally took the free safety, Michael Brooks, to tackle him after a 22-yard gain. So we see the versatility of Harold Green. On the sidelines as SC drives, here's Chris Fowler.
Hey, Bob, the defensive lineman Bobby Brown for the Gamecocks we saw carried off in their last series is okay. He twisted his left ankle. Trainers put about a mile of tape on it. They want him to come back in, Bob.
All right, they've got 3 guys to play that position, so some depth. First and goal from the 9. Fumble on the exchange. And Harold Green, the tailback, saw it and got on the football in a hurry.
Everything happens a little bit quicker when you get near the goal line, even the snap. You have to be careful. You can't go anywhere until you get the snap from center.
George Rush, a backup wide receiver, is checked in. We saw Harold Green go out a moment ago. Mike Dingle, a backup fullback, is in the game. He's the deep man behind Keith Bing. And now timeout called by South Carolina with 1:57 remaining in the first quarter of play, and on top 7-0 on that big 83-yard interception return for a touchdown by linebacker Patrick Hinton.
It's a very difficult position for a team without a natural tight end. Remember, last year they played the run and shoot. They do not play it this year. They do not have a natural tight end, and that causes some problems. You can see the difference between Ellis when South Carolina wins and when they lose. Touchdown passes, 22 in the 17, wins just 12 in the 10 losses. Interceptions, of course, a lot more interceptions. 9 of those interceptions, of course, have come in the last 2 weeks, so that's almost an even figure. Obviously, he plays better when they win, but as I said earlier, he's been under a lot of pressure, lost all of his starting receivers last year, and the Harold Green you're seeing tonight, number 22, is not the Harold Green that has been playing all year. He's had 2 weeks to recover, and he's as healthy as he has been all year.
Been aggravated by a sprained ankle. That's the injury we alluded to earlier. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 12.5-yard line.
Look out for a flag, to the flag, or a crossing pattern here.
George Rush and Robert Brooks out to the left. Everybody covered. Across the middle, intercepted. A flag on the play as Corey Edmonds picks it off. Outside his 20. Out of bounds at the 24 to 25-yard line. A flag flew on the play. It's laying at the 18 as NC State apparently has gotten the football back. Great pass coverage all over the field, Kevin.
Very well. When you're playing with less field, as we're going to see this call, it might be holding. Looked like it was in that area. When you're playing defense close to the goal line, there's really only one place you can go to use your speed, and that's across the field. So if you're inside
on the offense, this line.
So if you're an inside linebacker, you've got to be looking right and left for those people to come across the middle. Now Edmonds is a defensive back type of a linebacker. He's going to sit back there. See him read the eyes, looking for the crossing pattern, standing right in the middle, able to make that interception. That's great coaching. That happens during the week. You prepare a kid. And here's that crossing pattern we talked about. Bang, and State's got the ball.
So each team with an interception, 1:45 first quarter. Wolfpack running it straight ahead and diving straight ahead. The tailback, Todd Varn, a 6-foot junior from West Columbia, South Carolina. So he's coming up here to NC State right from Gamecock country down there. He got the ball out over the 30. And they'll set up second and a short 5. First man through. Bouncing off people. Fullback Mal Kripe. Derek Little came up from the tight side linebacker position. Little 99. There's a look.
I'm watching the Gamecocks as they come to the line of scrimmage. I'm watching their defense. They're doing a great job of disguising defense and moving around. Just, as you look, watch them move in and out. See if they do it on this play.
Derek Frazier, 90, the man you
this
saw.
Looks like man coverage to me as they move up on the corner here.
And Shane Montgomery wants a timeout.
Well, Bobby, that's what they're doing. See, they're confusing Montgomery. They're moving around, just moving a few steps here and there, and it's just driving them crazy. North Carolina State having very difficult time picking up the defense. Now watch number 16 at the bottom of your screen as he starts to walk up. Now if I'm playing quarterback, I'm thinking that's going to be bump and run, but he stops. Montgomery can't read this defense. He's trying to call an audible. He has to call timeout. That's great coaching by Joe Lee Dunn, the defensive coordinator. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this team, and they are ready.
All right, so with a break into the action, 46 seconds, first quarter remaining. Here's Chris Fowler on the sidelines.
Okay, Bob, I'm here with the North Carolina State National Championship College Bowl team. They defeated Emory in Chicago last spring for that title. Emory with a better College Bowl team than they have a football team. Here's Chuck Fussell, the captain of the NC State team. We throw out some questions here. It's a presidential year. How about a presidential question? What was the closest election in history?
Electoral votes or popular votes?
Electoral votes, Chuck.
Electoral votes. Give it to him, Larry. Oh, now you're me on the spot. We go.
Don't let me down here.
1860, Casey and Nixon. We tried to cheat anyway to win.
Capital of Uganda.
Luanda. Kampala.
There's a disagreement here. Which is it?
Kampala.
Okay, here's a sports question. Where did our analyst Kevin Kiley play college football?
Miami, Ohio.
It's a stump, but back up to you guys.
Right.
What's Joe Paterno's favorite ice cream? That's what I want to know.
Well, he won't find it in West Virginia. On 3rd and 3, nothing there. Mal Kripe, the carrier, sophomore nose guard, Tim Hyde. Met him head on, and that is it for this series. The Wolfpack will have to kick it.
Great series by South Carolina. They do so many things. They confuse you, jump around on the line. They did a great job against State on that series.
Preston Pogue to punt it. Robert Brooks is back at his own 30. This one will carry back near the 20. Looks like good coverage. South Carolina wanted good field positions, but unable to get it that time. Mark Thomas, 53 on the special teams, 47 yards on the kick. Virtually no return. Be sure to be with ESPN next Saturday, 11:30 a.m. for College Game Day. Tim Brando and Beano Cook provide the most comprehensive hour in college football. Then immediately following game day, it's the Ivy League as the Princeton Tigers take on the Bulldogs of Yale. A couple of other matchups coming up for you next Saturday. We're taking time to pick the best possible matchups for you on ESPN, and you'll hear about those in the next couple of days. First quarter about to come to a close with 4 seconds remaining, and really changing ends means nothing tonight because there is no breeze here at Carter Finley Stadium. Harold Green just a couple of yards, and that's how the first quarter comes to an end as Mark Thomas, the right outside linebacker, comes up to make the stop. So the first 15 minutes are history here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Defense, the difference in this state of the ACC, 7-0. With Chris Fowler and Kevin Kiley, Bob Carpenter at Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh. Second down and 9 to go for South Carolina at their own 12-yard line. Pitch to the deep man, Harold Green. Almost tackled in the backfield by Jesse Campbell. the strong safety, but that slowed him enough so free safety Michael Brooks could come up and make the play. Jesse Campbell, what a great future he has here as a freshman safety.
Just a youngster coming up, and watch Scott Auer, 95. This is picture book defense. Got his hands on the offensive guy again. Now watch him string this thing out. And there you have the people from the secondary coming up to make the tackle. But Auer is a guy, those 15 hurries I talked about, other people have been getting sacks, other people getting tackles, because he does his job. 95, strings it out.
Third down and 11. The fullback is Keith Bing. Nowhere near first down yardage. Billy Ray Hines, a true freshman at inside linebacker, spelling Corey Edmond with the stop on the play.
Now listen to the crowd for this defense. Time to remember, only one team has gotten into the end zone all year against North Carolina State. That was Maryland, and that's their one loss.
Nice job by the defensive squad of NC State. Naz Worthen back to receive the punt of Rodney Price. Nice spiral will go back to the 40-yard line. One way, then the other, outside, and maybe about 3 yards on the return, as Naz Worthen was knocked down by David Durkin and Corey Miller on the special teams.
Good no call by the official. Watch as the ball is punted. Watch two NC State players run into each other and then fall into the punter. That's a great no call by the official, because there's no way that's a penalty. Look at him. Look, he's looking for a penalty. No penalty.
13:34 before halftime. Tyrone Jackson in. That's Mark Fryer, the right tackle, being tended to on the South Carolina sideline. And while down on the field, Derek Frazier reaches out and trips the ball carrier. He was being blocked down and still had time to stop Chris Williams. No gain on the play. Shane Montgomery rifles it up the middle. Eugene Peters, the 6-foot senior, averaging 14 yards a catch, unable to hold on as he fell to the ground reaching for the ball. Storyline, Raleigh, North Carolina. Pat Hinton, the big play of the game. As NC State was driving for what appeared to be a first touchdown, he picked it off and went untouched down the sidelines. First down, NC State's been a lot better than the so-called offensive team of South Carolina. Third down and 10. Good protection. Right side, Naz Worthen inside the 35. Worthen having a big night. Beat Robert Robinson, the left cornerback, a 25-yard gain.
Well, here's that man coverage we've been looking for. Robinson gives him a big cushion. Robinson's the best defensive back on this team, but Worthen's a great player and a future pro. And this ball is thrown underneath where it should be. Worthen making the catch. Big first down. Biggest play of the night for State.
32 yards from the end zone. Quick opener to the fullback, Mal Crite. Not much there, Kevin Hendricks. That's Mark Fryer, the right tackle, getting the left shin all iced up. Chris Fowler, of course, patrolling the sidelines for us, and he'll update any injury situations or sideline information for you. 12:15 remaining in the second quarter. South Carolina on top, 7-0. Intercepted. It's Hinton again. Patrick Hinton trying for running room to the far side. He picks up a big block, and he has a chance to go. That block evidently was a clip. Down to the 20 and 18-yard line. The clip will erase a good part of the run back, but South Carolina will again have the football.
Well, first of all, if it's that block, it was not a clip, Bobby. They may have called it a clip, but it wasn't a clip. Now, this coverage is just confusing Montgomery. See, Hinton is lined up inside. Now, what they've got man coverage on the corner, but what they do is they bring Hinton underneath, which amounts to double coverage. Montgomery's not reading it. He hasn't read it all night. And now we're going to see what Patrick can do with the ball. Now, here's the block coming up. If the head is in front, oh, it is a clip. That was a clip. You're right, Bobby.
First down.
A big clip because it really, all he has to do is put his head on the other side, and it's not a clip.
Matt McKernan.
Yeah, I mean, he had position. All he had to do was get that head out in front, and he had position to do it, and he didn't.
Well, it cost him 66 yards worth of return, plus the yardage stepped off, so they're back at their own 18-yard line. But another turnover in favor of the visiting team. Harold Green. Good running room. He explodes and gets inside. Finally pulled down over the 40-yard line. Scott Auer from outside linebacker pursuing about 30 yards up the field.
Green could not practice in the spring. He had problems in the fall. He's had problems all year, but these past 2 weeks he's grown healthy. What difference does it make? This is what difference it makes, and I'm sure Todd Ellis is smiling from ear to ear. He'll make Ellis a better quarterback, and if he can do more than that.
What a night for the linebacker, Patrick Hinton. 3 interceptions on the year, 2 tonight, and 8 for his career. Flag is down. Clock stop with 11:20 remaining, second quarter.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on the offense.
That could be the taunting rule. That could be that rule where somebody said something or they made some kind of a movement towards the defense. There is a new rule this year about taunting. You know, this Patrick Hinton thing reminds me of a story about Joe Paterno where he was getting ready to play a game and he told one of his linebackers, he said, if they line up here, I want you to run here and stand there, and he'll throw you the ball. Just stand right here. And game came, and whoever the player was, they lined up in a certain formation. He ran to the spot. He stood there, and the quarterback threw him the ball, and he ran for a touchdown. That's happened twice tonight here with Hinton.
Mike Dingle into the game at fullback for South Carolina on 1st and 25. He circles out right, actually receives a lateral pass, and then breaks it up over the 30. Michael Brooks, free safety. Pretty good improvisation there by Mike Dingle, the sophomore. Well, they've got a ways to go yet. Ball is out over the 30 to about the 33. There's your score as we approach 10.5 minutes remaining before halftime. A big game in these parts. When NC State plays North Carolina, that's their #1 rivalry, but this one not far behind. Draw play. Straight ahead, Keith Bain. Over the 35, and they'll face 3rd and long as Elijah Austin, the sophomore nose guard, with help from Grady Harris at right tackle on the stop.
Tennessee Chattanooga, big history here. Joe Pate, the offensive coordinator for North Carolina State, was hired by Joe Morrison, the head coach of South Carolina, when he was at Tennessee Chattanooga. So they've got kind of an eye on this game.
3rd and 15. Todd Ellis, too tall down the right sideline. Anthony Parler, a 6'3" sophomore, young player of great promise for this club, but not up to what they had to throw to a year ago. And Ellis will walk to the sideline on another kicking situation. The Wolfpack will get it back with 9:49 remaining before halftime.
North Carolina State has blocked 5 punts this season, and they came close last time.
He's punted 3 times for 41 yards as Rodney Price. Nasworthen will take this one at the 22. Cuts upfield. Big seam. He may go. Oh, he was touched at the 45-yard line, or he would have broken that one. Pat Turner finally got him down, and the hit was made at midfield by David Durkin, or he was gone. It might have tied the game. Very close to breaking this one was Nasworthen.
Yeah, and remember, they had a block on. There were 10 men up at the line of scrimmage, not much blocking. If Corey Miller doesn't get a hand on him right there, as Bobby said, he was gone. He's gone far enough as it is. He got to the 46, 45.
40-yard kick and 35 on the return. Great field position for the Wolfpack. Scoreless so far. Shane Montgomery, right side. Nasworthen, his knee touched inside the 40. That's where they'll down it. It'll be good for 5 yards or so. But again, nothing fancy, nothing complicated from Shane Montgomery to his wide receivers. Naz Worthen is having a big night. He came in with 28 catches for 432 yards. At this rate, he's going to add about 50% to that total tonight. They'll call it a gain of 6. Worthen again. This time, close to first down yardage inside the 35. Robert Robinson, left cornerback, bumped him out. Looks like that one will move the chains.
Watch Hinton, 46, just off the 40-yard line in the white shirt. Watch him sneaking back into his zone, trying to stop this thing. But Montgomery is able to get the ball out there again. That's why Montgomery's in there. He reads defenses very well, and he has a quick release. Not a great arm, but a quick release. But remember, 2 of those have been picked off so far tonight.
Eugene Peters and Shad Santee in as the wide receivers, a senior and a freshman. Give us to the deep man, Chris Williams. Nothing there. Pat Turner finished him off.
Turner in for Rabune. Rabune was the leading tackler. That's a big load on this kid's back. Now, Turner originally was at South Carolina, transferred to Georgia Tech, then transferred back to South Carolina. This is his first extensive action in 4 years. He's really been kind of on the bus for 4 years, and now he's back playing, and he's got some big shoes to fill.
He's also a converted quarterback. It's 2nd and 11. Montgomery 10 for 18, 2 picked off, and it's set 9, courtesy of Kevin Hendricks. He had into the game 21 tackles. 7 of them were behind the line of scrimmage.
Hendricks, the best athlete on the South Carolina defense. This is what they do. You threaten them, and they're going to come after you. Number 98, just never picked up. Montgomery, with all the reading and checking off he does, it won't help him if they don't stop this guy, Kevin Hendricks, from North Carolina.
At the 41-yard line, they have to get to the 24. Hendricks out of Hickory.
Screen and draw against the pressure defense, screen and draw.
They picked up the rushes pretty well. Out to the right side. And unable to hold on was Danny Peebles. Good defense there by Pat Turner, joined by his left corner, Robert Robinson. It'll be 4th and 17.
That was a tremendous pass by Montgomery. That ball had no right throwing that thing, and he just dropped it right in there to Peebles, and Peebles didn't hold on to it. It was a really excellent throw.
Preston Pogue will kick it, and up till now, South Carolina drops no one back to receive the punt.
Pogue's a quarterback, remember.
And it's 4th and 17.
And they're in South Carolina territory, so they need to be careful here.
Pat Turner's back at his own 25-yard line, but nobody except the official in deep receiving territory. And they will get a delay penalty here, which at this stage of field position on the kick doesn't mean a whole lot. Dick Sheridan, 3rd year here. 18 wins, 11 losses, a tie at NC State. 87 career wins after some great years at Furman. He was also the athletic director
there.
Dead ball
foul, delay of game on the offense, 4th down.
Furman of the Southern Conference, and the counterpart was the great New York Giant, Mr. Morrison. First penalty against the Wolfpack. Pretty much the same situation. Pat Turner back but not deep. Pogue will try to hang it up, and instead he end over ends it down there. Doesn't get a very good bounce, and the ball doesn't even stay inside the 15-yard line. So 7:26 remaining before halftime. Gamecocks on top of the injured a little bit earlier this evening. We hope Mark is okay. He's not in the ball game right now as the Gamecocks of South Carolina start 1st and 10 at their own 15. Todd Ellis 3 for 7 with an interception, good for 27 yards. Harold Green is doing most of the work offensively. Last year, NC State a nightmare defensively, but this year, a dream come true.
Look at that rushing yards, 85.9 a game versus 208. You can look right down there, and then the touchdowns, 19 at this point last year, 4, and they have not given one up tonight. Very quick, a lot younger last year, a lot of maturity this year, even though they have young players.
2nd and 10. First man through, Keith Bing, the fullback, forget it. Ray Agnew, left tackle, who really fights off blocks, helped by Elijah Austin, the nose guard.
Well, the book on South Carolina, out of the eye, they're a running team. In the split backs, they're a passing team. So when they come out in the eye, as you look at Auer dragging them down with help from Agnew, when they come out in the eye, you're reading run. When they come out in the split backs, it's pass.
3rd and 9. They haven't done it yet tonight, and they still haven't. Scott Auer on the ball carrier, Keith Bing, who will come up about a yard short.
Remember what I just told you now. They come out 3rd and 10 in the I formation. So if they come out in split back, you'll be more likely to drop back and that play will work. But when they come out in the I, you've got to check that fullback first. North Carolina State very well drilled and they stopped the play.
Scott Auer, number 95, you saw him coming off with the defensive squad to kick it and receive it. Worthen, the receiver, Price, the kicker. Wolfpack was coming. Twisting spiral, it'll bounce back and be downed out near the 45 of the 46-yard line. So good field position for NC State after that 35-yard kick. 5.5 first half. Still 7-0 Gamecocks. We're just over 5.5 minutes away from halftime. Tim Brando standing by with scores and highlights from the studio for you. A most interesting day in college football when there will be a new number 1 the next time the polls come out. 7-0 here, South Carolina over NC State. Wolfpack with a good field position at their 45. The last 3 times they started out from their own 43, their own 45 twice. So field position is changing a bit. Chris Williams improvising and tumbling ahead for about 4 yards. Tim High, the nose guard on the tackle. The first 4 times they had it, Kevin, they took over from their 29, 21, their 2, and their 25. So that aspect of the game changing a bit here late in the first half.
They need to make something out of this, though, Bobby, because South Carolina is dominating this game defensively, as well as North Carolina State. But South Carolina's got 7 points.
They'll call it a gain of 3, 2nd and 7. Williams off the left side, trying to get a little help from Brock Miller, the left tackle, number 79. David Taylor, the open side end, came up to destroy that play. And the clock continues to run. A lot of red, a lot of black in the crowd tonight. The black trimmed with red of South Carolina, the red and white of NC State. It's one of the things that bowl people like. These South Carolina fans follow this team around. They usually take about 35,000 to a bowl game, and that's the name of the game these days. 3rd and 3. Not much time. Naz Worthen almost took it right off the back of Robert Robinson, who had trouble finding the ball. Kevin Hendricks pressuring the passer.
Well, Hendricks in his face, unbelievable. This is like a 3-step drop and throw it. 1, 2, 3, and this pass, again, here's Hendricks in his face. This pass is perfectly thrown into coverage. Montgomery doing a great job getting it off, and almost a tremendous catch by Worthen. Look at this ball. That's pretty good defense, too. Robert Robinson.
Nobody back to receive the kick of Pogue. Hits it high this time. It'll hit in the end zone. So South Carolina gets it back with 4:14 remaining in the first half, still leading 7-0. Again, the 83-yard interception return for a touchdown in the first quarter by Patrick Hinton, the difference in the ball game. There's the big result of the day. The Cougars at the Rose Bowl beating UCLA. Notre Dame should be number 1. USC should be number 2. Miami of Florida should be number 3.
That's where the battle begins.
That's right.
Number 3. I like West Virginia.
And Nebraska struggled against Missouri. West Virginia could leapfrog over a lot of folks after hammering Penn State today. Keith Bing, the ball carrier, on first down. Nose guard Elijah Austin took care of him as the clock runs under 4 minutes. Stadium here holds 47,000 at Carter Finley, but they can get 55,000 in here. Because as you look at the far end, that's a big old grassy hill. About 2/3 of it NC State fans, and the rest of it South Carolina fans. Harold Green powering his way near a first down. Ray Frost, the left inside linebacker, finally write him down, but Harold Green running strong.
A nice job by Robert Brown on the corner, number 78. Here's Frost filling in for Stoner. He's running laterally, just getting out there, making sure he takes a good angle and making the tackle. Here's a kid who was supposed to be redshirted, gave up the redshirt year after 7 games to help the team out, Ray Frost.
With the injury to Fred Stone. There's the grassy hill where they're sitting in the end zone. 3rd and 1. And the fullback, Keith Bing, over the 30 for the first down. That'll keep possession for USC. That'll keep the clock moving. It's under 3 minutes now.
Bing's a guy, all he does is what you ask him. He's not big, not real fast. He's just a tough player who'll go in there. If you need a yard, he'll try and get it for you.
Well, the coaches like him because he knows his role. 2 roles, really. Inside running occasionally on 3rd and short, and he's a very good blocker. First down at the 31 with 2:35 remaining. Pitch to Green, but a whistle. And a flag. They got the play off in time.
Dead ball foul, illegal procedure on the offense, first down.
I think what you're seeing here, Joe Morrison is telling you he thinks his defense can stop North Carolina State. 7 penalties on South Carolina has not hurt them. 7 for 72. State is yet to get on the board. NC State 1 for 5. But by this play calling in the I formation running game, he's eating up the clock in the second quarter. He believes his defense can stop State.
There was a clip on an interception return that did not help South Carolina. And NC State's penalty was basically a purpose penalty as they just let clock run down on a punting situation from midfield. Now the clock is down to about 2 minutes remaining. Ron Rabune, the senior free safety, leading tackler, had an interception, dislocated a shoulder at Georgia Tech 2 weeks ago, and he is out.
You may wonder how valuable he is. South Carolina's pretty much changed their entire defensive scheme with the zone because he's not in the game.
2nd and 12. Ellis, not a very big night throwing so far. And it's delivered low and dropped. Harold Green, the intended receiver. A flag in the backfield might indicate a little roughing on the passer. Todd Ellis, some awesome totals in his collegiate career. 3,020 yards passing as a freshman, 3,206 as a sophomore. He's on a pace to surpass Todd Santos, the former San Diego State star, for #1 all-time in Division 1A. Was he roughed?
Roughing the passer on the defense, first down.
It's going to be Auer coming from the right side. I don't know. That's a judgment call. Not a whole lot of damage done being a defensive player. Auer doesn't like it. You know, also the thing about Ellis is his numbers aren't real good, but I believe this is the 3rd different offense he's had to learn in 3 years. That's got to be tough on his kid.
First down at the 44. Over the middle, nearly intercepted by Corey Edmond, the weak side linebacker. Pressure on the passer again, number 95, Scott Auer.
What he does so well, he puts his hands on the offensive blocker. Watch him use his hands. He just pushes him away, and then he puts the pressure. Remember, 15 hurries. You can give him another hurry here, and almost an interception because of that. That's what Auer does for you. Mike Jones almost picking that thing off. Good player.
Scott Auer has a brother, Neil, who just signed on as a freshman fullback on this team. And loose is Harold Green on 2nd and 10, a big play. South Carolina.
You know, if you're playing defense against this team and they come out and split backs, you got to read through the line to Harold Green. They're never going to give the ball to the fullback in that set. If they run, it's going to be to Green, so you have got to watch it.
2 timeouts remaining for the Gamecocks. 3rd and 3. They're approaching field goal range. Keith Bing, the fullback, for another first down. So they'll stop the clocks while they move the chains. 1:06 remaining. But South Carolina in a tough, low-scoring defensive game so far. Would love to add at least 3 going into the locker room. And they've got a good young kicker to do it with. just a little soft one up the middle. Keith Bing, the fullback, to the 41, maybe the 42-yard line. Ray Frost and Corey Edmond at a linebacker to stop him, but South Carolina keeps moving it. Now they hurry things up. 2nd and 5. Clock reads 35. Up the middle of Harold Green. Pretty good sticking taking place there. Ray Frost. Also Corey Edmond, 47. The inside backers collapsed on him. It'll be 3rd and 5 with 30 seconds remaining before halftime.
I don't know why Harold Green is running a little swing circle pattern over the middle. He should be breaking this thing outside. The linebackers are sitting in the middle. Watch Green 22. He's running right into the linebackers. And he's pretty much getting what he deserves there. He's got to break that thing outside and hook it up. He'll be open.
3rd and 5, and there was movement evidently on the offensive line of South Carolina. The flag flew from the line judge on the near side. That could make it 3rd and 10.
Dead ball foul. Illegal procedure. Still 3rd down.
That is penalty number 8 on the visiting team.
Well, again, this is a team that has not had a great deal of time to practice together. Their offensive people have been injured most of the year, and that could have something to do with it. Now look out for something down the middle behind the linebackers. They've got about 12 yards to go.
Keep in mind they have a kicker who's kicked twice successfully this year from 50 yards plus. And nothing doing there. Harold Green. Those inside backers double teaming him again, but even Todd Mackey can't reach it from this range. Colin Mackey came in 10 for 15 on the year. He's hit from 52 and 50.
Oh, I don't know why they would punt here. I don't know, and I don't think North Carolina State's buying this either. I don't know why they would punt.
This one will carry to the end zone. So with 15 seconds remaining, South Carolina playing it conservatively. No chances taken. They'll let the defense try to stop NC State as they have throughout this first half. Well, Kevin, let's talk a little bit about this first half. Your impressions so far? You expected a low-scoring game.
I thought the defenses would control the game. The difference really is that one bad read by Montgomery and Hinton sitting out there and catching the ball and running it in. We've seen great defense. I like defense. I like this game. I hope it's more of the same in the second half.
Spoken like a true Wyoming defender. Handoff time. Chris Williams, the tailback. A sophomore from Cleveland, Ohio, and that will do it for the first half of play. We expected a tough defensive football game, and we've got one so far. The interception returned by Patrick Hinton, the only score, 7-0 South Carolina. And now to the studio for Tim Brando.
All right, Bob Carpenter, Kevin Kiley, and Chris Fowler, thank you. 7-0 at halftime. Boy, do we have a lot to cover. We're going to have a new #1 team next week. We'll tell you why. We'll hear from the victorious coach that pulled the upset of the day. And, yeah, Pino Cook out of the mines to a game in Morgantown. All of that when we come back.
I wish there was a way you could get that 7 points off the scoreboard for the second half.
Well, Patrick Hinton with 2 interceptions, the impact player of this one so far tonight. Now down to the sidelines with the coach. Here's Chris Fowler.
Thanks, Bob. Here with Dick Sheridan. Coach, an old-fashioned defensive football game. Do you stay with your offensive game plan in the second half?
Well, we've had to adjust. They aren't blitzing as much as they had in past games, and they're giving us a lot more zone and dropping people off, so we're having to adjust a little bit to the number of times they're playing zone on us.
Okay, thanks very much.
Eric Markle will kick it off for South Carolina. Remember, back to the start of the game when NC State won the toss and deferred. And so they will get the football starting off the second half of play, trailing 7-0 on a crisp autumn evening here in Raleigh. A short kick at the 12-yard line. Chris Williams, and he's out over the 40 to the 47, and what a way for the second half to start for a home team that's been struggling offensively. Robert Robinson finally brought him down after a 35-yard return. Great field position for the Wolfpack at their own 47.
I think what Coach Sheridan said earlier is exactly what has to happen. They have to handle the zone, the surprising zone, from South Carolina here in the third quarter if they're going to get back in the game.
Shane Montgomery, the junior quarterback, the hurry-up quarterback is what Dick Sheridan calls him. And Mr. Hinton almost had a hat trick right into his arms. Maybe Nasworthen turned into pass defender here.
Number 46 right on the 50 there, stepping in front of Worthen. He's been doing it all night. He's already got 2. Montgomery has got to look before he throws the ball, and a good read on a linebacker, whether he's blitzing or dropping, is whether he's moving his hands and feet. We'll try to show you that.
2nd and 10, and very lucky not to be hammered with another turnover. The Wolfpack. He's 10 for 22 with 2 picked off already. Todd Varn, negative yardage there, bumped out of bounds just outside the 45-yard line. North Carolina State's possessions, 10 plays for the interception, and then a punt after only 3 plays, a half dozen plays. They had to kick it again. 3 straight punts there, then another interception, negative yardage and a punt. They had to kick the ball in all 5 times in the first half. And, of course, no scoring. 3rd and 12 at the 45. You've got to take advantage of field position like this. Montgomery complete, but well short of the first down. Nasworthen way out on the left side. Scott Windsor at that open side end position out to bring him down, and NC State will kick it for a 6th time tonight.
Bobby, they're just not handling the zone. They were real surprised in the first half. What you've got to do against man-to-man, you read the man. Against the zone, you've got to read the key man in the zone and find the holes. NC State has not been able to do that tonight.
Preston Pogue counting his teammates to make sure there are 11 of them. And this one is into the end zone. It'll be a 48-yard kick, and let's check out the Gamecocks offensively. 5 plays and a kick. The interception for a TD, a scoring drive by the defense, if you will. Another punt, another interception resulted that time for the other team. And the rest of the first half basically was spent kicking the football away. So here we are, a minute into the third quarter. South Carolina with the football and a 7-0 lead. Todd Ellis, the 6'3" junior from Greensboro, North Carolina. He'll play action and open things up. He swings it left side, and Harold Green, the tailback, is out over the 25-yard line. They'll get about 8 on first down.
That's a great call on first down out of that I formation, primarily a running formation. They run the screen. Does 2 things to you. First thing it'll do, it'll freeze you when he does play action. As soon as you realize it's not a run, as a defender, you drop way back, and then they drop that screen underneath you. It's very tough to react to.
2nd and 2, a long 2. Fullback, Bing, no. John Adlita, a 6'4" senior, who came to NC State from Ohio. They've got a few from the Buckeye State. On the stop, it'll be 3rd and 1. Ike Harris checks in with Trent Simpson as a double tight end set.
Okay, they have a tendency to run weak away from the defense with their fullback. Out of the eye, that's what I'd be looking for, to the defensive right.
SC 2 out of 7 on 3rd and short. Harold Green hit initially behind the point of first down, but then his second effort took him to distance that should move the chains. Jesse Campbell finally on the stop.
It's a nice job. Now, this play was designed to go left, but Green out of the tailback position will read it, and he tries to cut it back. Here's your right guard and right tackle blocking down, just trying to create some kind of space, and Green out of the right side, really nice job filling there by number 42, Campbell, just a sophomore.
So they got about half of the football beyond where they needed to be. Ellison a draw to the fullback. Keith Bing maybe a half yard or so. Ray Frost, that inexperienced but evidently effective sophomore and left inside linebacker on the stop.
Well, it's obvious that Joe Morrison really has confidence in his defense. They're going to keep it real conservative, not throw the ball downfield against this team. Nobody's had much success, and just try to grind it out. Todd Ellis, 9 interceptions in the past 2 games.
Left side, and that one defensively covered pretty well. The intended receiver, Harold Green. Jesse Campbell had designs on picking it off. Jesse's already snatched 4 interceptions this year. One of the reasons is he's got a pretty good senior Michael Brooks next to him.
There comes the Wolfpack. Bing on the pass coverage on Auer on the blocking. Nice job there. And again, they're trying to get it into Green's hands, but Campbell sitting outside in the zone, reads it real early, comes in and lowers the boom. Good team defense. On split backs now, this is a pass offense.
3rd and 9, Mike Dingle, fullback in there. And it's off the one hand of the intended receiver, Hardin Brown, a 5'10 senior. Number 11. Kicking situation, Mike Jones at left tackle, a sophomore pressuring the passer, and the NC State crowd is into it as South Carolina will have to kick it again. A kicking game of field position here tonight. Nasworthen at his own 29-yard line. Strongest kick of the night for Rodney Price, 47 yards. They were coming, and he hits a low-line drive that'll be allowed to stop right at the 30. So we played 3 minutes and 36 seconds in the 3rd quarter. It's still 7-0. Ball. We're at Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh, North Carolina. There's your score. We're just into the 3rd quarter of play. NC State with the football, 1st and 10 at the Wolfpack 30. A deep drop for Montgomery. Over the middle, Nasworthen. Midfield. He's got a gain of 20+. Scott Windsor, strong safety on the tackle, but quickly into South Carolina territory goes the Wolfpack.
Key to this thing is the time that Montgomery had to throw, and Worthen will run out and then across the middle. Now Hinton takes the underneath coverage, but Worthen, look at all that time. Worthen has enough time to come in behind the linebackers. Ball delivered perfectly in a big gainer.
Nasworthen, 9 catches for 115 yards. Peebles, Danny Peebles breaking in. The pass was about 5 yards behind him. Shane Montgomery didn't have a whole lot of time to deliver it. It'll be 2nd down.
Thing to look for, you know, if you're reading this defense and you want to know, a thing that'll tip the zone is whether the linebackers, as Jolie Dunn, whether the linebackers are coming or not. If they're coming, it's probably going to be man. You got to watch their hands and feet still to see if they're moving on the line of scrimmage before the snap.
Nasworthen, top of your screen. Quick out, right side, Peebles. 1st down, cuts inside, 31-yard line. Pat Turner, the free safety, caught up with him, but it was the reaching catch that made it difficult for the defense to tackle him.
It's where the ball is delivered that makes this play. He had to reach for it because Montgomery put the ball inside away from the defense. Just a great pass by Shane Montgomery. Now, this is something they weren't doing in the 1st half.
1st and 10, ball almost to the 30. Gamecocks are coming, and somebody tipped it. Looks like it might have been the left end, Kevin Hendricks, 98. Not a whole lot of time for Shane Montgomery as the white jerseys and the black helmets were beating down on him. North Carolina State, pretty balanced offensively with the tandem at quarterback and tailback, 168 yards rushing, 209 passing a game. Defense has been the forte. Give is to the first man through. Mal Crite, the fullback, and not much there. Kevin Hendricks again on the stop. And it'll be 3rd and 10, though we do have a flag in the offensive backfield.
They all were moving.
Who all were moving? We'll find out here in a minute.
You wonder where we are, right? Who all is moving?
They're talking to the defense, so you have to think it's NC State.
Illegal shift on the offense is declined. It's 3rd down.
when you back this team up, South Carolina, watch the inside linebackers. Watch these guys. You think they're going to blitz? You know exactly what the play is going to be. Watch, you see them moving just before the snap. Now, that's what you've got to look for.
3rd and 10. Big play for NC State. Down by 7, 3rd quarter. They pick up the blitzers. Wow, smash one down, but he can't hold on. Ball delivered a bit behind him, and he was cutting wickedly across the middle. May have had designs on reaching the end zone, but he just couldn't get control.
This is not a big guy. Major adjustment here. What they're trying to do now, instead of throwing that thing to the sideline, they're coming under the middle behind the linebackers. See that? A great pass by Montgomery again, but Worthen just couldn't hold on to it. Both Worthen and Peebles are very fast and not big, but they're known for having the guts to go over the middle, and they've done it tonight.
Damon Hartman earlier this year kicked a 54-yarder, an NC State record that was against North Carolina. This will be from 47, twisting and turning, and no. So still off the scoreboard, NC State. South Carolina 7-0, 5 minutes. Well, you might look at the ACC standings, Kevin, and folks will say non-conference game doesn't mean a whole lot. This is one for the fans that means an awful lot.
Oh, and it's a huge game for both teams.
1st and 10 at the 30. Todd Ellis going long up the right side, and it is caught inside the 30 by the freshman flanker Robert Brooks. Earlier this year, they hooked up on a 97-yarder against East Carolina. So this is the long-distance service of South Carolina right here.
What a pass, and I just said earlier they're not going long down the field, and they did off the I formation. What a pass this is to Brooks, and the coverage by Johnson is super. Look where Johnson is. He just cuts a little bit too far behind him, and Brooks with the concentration makes the catch.
43 yards on the completion. South Carolina inside the NC State 30. Keith Bing, the fullback, not a whole lot there, maybe a half yard or so. We were alluding to the conference race in Maryland with an emotional last-second win at North Carolina today. Of course, Clemson beaten by NC State a week ago. It's a great race.
The highest-ranked team, if there's a tie, the highest-ranked team in the UPI poll, which is the coaches' poll, will go to the Citrus Bowl at the end of the year. If neither team is ranked, then the
bowl committee decides.
Makes the decision.
And you know what that's based on? Tickets.
Yeah, tickets there.
2nd and 10. Swung out to the left. And the ball is being tipped dangerously by fullback Keith Bing. A big hit put on there. 42, Jesse Campbell, strong safety. The way that ball is being tipped, you could almost envision someone coming in and grabbing it.
Like Jesse almost had a shot at it. Bing needs to catch this ball. Ball thrown a little bit behind him. He makes a good attempt. Campbell's defense is really what messed that play up. If he'd been thinking about it, he might have gone for the ball, but that's just excellent position. Again, good coaching. That's what Dick Sheridan told us. He said, I asked him, I said, well, how could you be so successful at Furman and so successful here? He said, I have great coaches behind me, and they do a tremendous job coaching.
3rd down and 10. Remember the great field position after that long reception. But nothing doing for the fullback, Keith Bing. So the Gamecocks go conservative on 3rd and long, and it'll be time for a rather long field goal. Colin Mackey is on his longest of the year, 52. He's also hit from 50. Just a sophomore.
Oh, this is a real big field goal attempt. Ray Agnew hopping off the field. He's injured, number 93 for North Carolina State. Joe Morrison, everything he has done offensively has been geared to his defense, feeling that his defense could stop North Carolina State. This would make 2 scores behind for State and could put him in a big hole.
44-yarder near the right hash mark. And he drilled it right inside the upright. So with 8:03 in the 3rd quarter remaining, South Carolina opens up a double-digit lead. It's 10-0. Mackey now on the year is 11 for 16. So it's 10-0 here in the 3rd quarter of play. South Carolina rated number 17 in the nation. Arkansas with a home game at night, ranked number 11. The Rice Owls giving the Hogs all they want. And other scores taking place under the lights in the Big Ten, a rare night game. it's time for NC State to get busy offensively. Joe Morrison, he thought the off week came at a pretty good time of the year for him, except for all the off-the-field controversy.
Well, that certainly did distract him. Joe would like a win here for a number of reasons, obviously to get back on the winning track, but also it might dispel a little bit of the unhappiness and the gloom on the campus at South Carolina. It's been a very tough 2 weeks for him. Coming in here in a game that probably looked at the beginning of the year like it would be a break in the schedule, and then having to come in and face the #1 defense, and they've been all of that tonight, North Carolina State. But the Gamecocks, if they hadn't played with enthusiasm and the intensity in the past couple of games, they certainly have tonight. They played well.
And it's been a long time now since NC State has scored on South Carolina. Eric Markle with the kick. Better cover that football. NC State finally did. Chris Williams came forward. The 48-0 shutout in Columbia last year. 10-0 here tonight. South Carolina fans are happy as they got the field goal after a 2-minute drive that took 5 plays covering 43 yards.
Well, of course, the big play was the 43-yard pass to Brooks. That was the whole drive, and they stuffed him. Except for the other thing, on a kickoff like that, the up guy should never go back. The deep man has to come up and catch it. That was almost a disaster.
Shane Montgomery, Preston Pope, Charles Davenport, the tandem of quarterbacks at NC State has been mostly Montgomery tonight. Todd Barn, the tailback, straight ahead. Maybe a yard or two. Tim High, the sophomore Norris guard, got him. High last year, a backup to the All-American that has now graduated, Roy Hart, who is an outstanding performer. For Joe Lee Dunn, the assistant head coach, defensive coordinator to Joe Morrison.
He's done a great job tonight, Joe Lee Dunn. Great game package he's had in there.
He followed Morrison as the head coach out of New Mexico. Montgomery improvising across the middle. Danny Peebles, the intended receiver, and Derek Little was waiting for him. Also, Stephon Williams, 16.
That Danny Peebles coming in front of the linebackers. Again, if you're playing inside linebacker, when you're dropping back, if there's nothing in front of you, you begin to look side to side. And when you see somebody coming on a crossing pattern, you go after him. And that's what Derek Little did on that play.
Chad Santee, freshman wide receiver in there for NC State on 3rd and 7. Up the middle, Naz Worthen. Now what will he do? He'll get across midfield. He is so dangerous when he catches the football. And Worthen into double figures in catches tonight with that grab.
Again, what they're doing, they're working it inside. Now you're going to see Hinton come underneath number 46. Look at him watching Worthen, trying to get in front. Almost gets it with his hand. Worthen, great concentration, and then that big step after he catches it for a first down. Look at a great reaction by Hinton, moving his feet. That's nice pass coverage there, an excellent offense.
Ball across midfield. Now Crank, the fullback. Met by the left defensive end, Kevin Hendricks. But there's the bulk of the NC State offense tonight. Naz Worthen with 1,964 yards.
It's a kid sat out last year. He's a team captain. Sat out last year. Discipline problem, but a good kid.
Down the middle. This one will blow up over top of everybody. Danny Peebles being guarded by Stephon Williams.
Boy, what a job by the line and the up back there in the offense. Look at him pick up this blitz. Everybody's coming. Here come the linebackers, everybody. Look at this job here. Bright does a great job. Montgomery gets rid of the ball where he should. Throw it up over in the post pattern. Let him run under it. Only one player would have a chance to get it. That's the offensive play. Didn't connect, but that was pretty good offense.
As Worthen, top of your screen, Danny Peebles is out wide to the right on 3rd and 9. Here they come again. He's got to unload it. Peebles unable to catch it as Robert Robinson reached in front of him to bat it down.
Body control.
In on the passer.
Boy, Robert Robinson, what great body control. Again, they're coming out of the ground here. Patrick Hinton very close. Montgomery gets it off. Now this thing looks, the crowd is screaming for interference, but watch Robinson up and over and really never laid a hand on him. Great defense by South Carolina.
They'll kick it on 4th and 9. No one back deep. They receive the kick of Preston Poe. This will be an interesting bounce. Inside the 10. They'll down it at the 9. 6 minutes remaining, third quarter of play. Tough game. South Carolina by 10. For the home team. It's been better than 6 quarters now since NC State has scored on the Gamecocks. If you go back, including last year's shutout, 2 years ago, they scored in the last play of the game. And now it's South Carolina with the football and Todd Ellis. Still pretty far away from his all-time low in passing yardage in a single game. Harold Green out left, cuts it up the middle. Pretty tough yards. He started way back there and got up over the 15-yard line. Scott Auer and Elijah Austin to tackle.
All right, inside backers for NC State. This is a wide play. You have to keep inside leverage. Haynes gets outside. He's over pursuing. Frost, too, comes a little bit too far, but the rest of the defense covers up. That's natural, and Green's such a great back, and he's able to cut on time. You saw what the footing's like out there with those linebackers. It's not real good.
Harold Green, 14 carries, 56 yards. 2nd and 4. Fullback, Keith Bing. It'll be 3rd and short. Nose guard Elijah Austin, a sophomore. They call him a road grader. He's not very finesseful. He just puts down the road grader apparatus and sweeps people off their feet. That time he took down the ball carrier, and it'll be 3rd and 1.
That's why I never read the press guide when I played, because I was afraid I'd be playing against the guy that they called the road grader.
Well, that wasn't in the press guide. We got that from the coaches, and when the coaches call him that, you know he's tough. 3rd and 1, double tight ends.
Fullback will take you to the ball.
There is the fullback, and second effort gets the first down. Keith Bing, again, averaging 4 yards a carry coming in. He had a good game last year against NC State. 8 runs for 93 yards and a touchdown. He's been grinding it against the Wolfpack tonight. Evidently some work being done on the left ankle of Naz Worthen.
Looks like his hair is on fire, too. What is that?
It's a cool night, and he's hot. First down at the 22, pitch to Harold Green. They'll try to sweep it out to the right and forget it. Michael Brooks up to mess up the play, and Scott Auer finishing things off.
All right, now they're playing defense. They're protecting number 49, Frost, top of your screen. Now watch what he does. He flattens out. He's not going to make the tackle, but look at him get right in the middle of the interference, trips up the guard, and here comes the rest of the defense. Auer hanging on him, going in. Look at how many guys got to the sideline for NC State on that play.
That's what you call good defense, to force him to lose a yard on the big sweep to the wide side. It's 2nd and 11, 4:10 left, third quarter. Little flare. Keith Bing, no, it's Harold Green, the tailback. Out to the 25, Ray Agnew pursuing. Got him. And they'll be left with 3rd and long. It'll be a long 7. Arkansas has scored at home. They say those Saturday nights in Hogland are pretty wild when the Razorbacks play at night.
It'd be wild if they lose to Rice at home. You better believe it. They wouldn't like that down there. Okay, look out for Green out of the backfield here. They haven't done much for a tight end at all.
Pressure away from it. One pump. They'll try to run for the first down. A clothesline shot gets him near the far sideline. Jesse Campbell. What a mean freshman this is.
You know, that was the only way he was going to get him. That was really a tremendous play. That was the only way Campbell was going to stop him. He never would have gotten him. Now, nobody helped him out. Ellis looking for somebody to throw to, and right here, he's got the first down. But watch Campbell. They'll never cut him off. The only place he can get him is right there, and he stops him dead. You stop the head, you stop the body. Great job by Campbell. And a good no call by the official. That was not a penalty.
On 4th down, Rodney Price to kick it. Todd Vaughn on the return. Signaling fair catch back at the 20-yard line. 50-yard kick, 3:16 third quarter. Gamecocks by 10.
Back in Raleigh, it is mayhem here. You can pay $15 to stand on the grass. They are tackling me. They're so fired up. About 8,000 fans are down here. Back upstairs before we get into the Cipolla, guys.
You know, we were going to check very shortly on an apparent injury to Naz Worthen. We may have to check on Chris first.
Yeah.
We got a stretcher for the guy on the field.
Well, that's a Wolfpack if I ever saw one.
Danny Peebles and Shad Santee are the receivers for the Wolfpack, with Naz Worthen on the bench. Shane Montgomery, and it's knocked down there. 42, David Taylor, a 6'2 junior that opens side end. He hadn't played in 4 weeks because of an ankle.
I've had a lot of injuries, lot of injuries. I'll tell you, NC State's doing a tremendous job picking up the blitz, but without Worthen, now Worthen apparently is hurt on the sideline. We're going to report as soon as possible, but that's really going to hurt their offense.
2nd and 10. Clock stopped with 3:12 remaining, third quarter. Visiting team on top, 10-0.
This is man coverage. It's a full blitz here.
Chris Williams tried to cut it up the middle, and again Taylor met him with a pretty good hit on him, and maybe out to the 23 or 24-yard line. It'll be 3rd and rather long. Watch number 42.
All right, Taylor, you can tell by the alignment it's going to be a full blitz, and they run the ball. If they could pop that thing, there'd be nobody in the secondary to make the tackle, but they blitz in gaps, and they'll fill the field all the way across. Very difficult to run on this team.
30% on 3rd and long, and this time it's 3rd and very long. Montgomery with time, up the middle, diving catch by Eugene Peters. He came in with 6 catches for 86 yards. A senior who spells Danny Peebles, but with Worthen hurt, he's in there.
Now, they're going to call this incomplete. I don't know if the ball, if he didn't drop it when he hit the ground. Let's take a look. Good throw. Never had it.
Yep.
Incomplete. Good call by the official.
Robert Brooks is back to receive the kick of Preston Polk, who's kicked 7 times for 39 yards in average. So late in the third quarter, South Carolina will get it back again. Not a very good kick, but he'll get a great bounce. That is 33. Brooks up the sideline, tiptoeing his way to near midfield. They'll call it about the 48. So the Gamecocks will have good field position with 2:20 remaining in the third quarter. Be sure to be with ESPN next Saturday for another CFA doubleheader. At this time, we've not selected our games for next week. However, tune in at 4:30 p.m. for game 1 of our doubleheader next Saturday, and 8 o'clock Eastern for game number 2. We've got some dandies to pick from, and we'll bring you 2 of the better games in the nation next Saturday. The 49, the Gamecocks, you get the feeling if they put together a scoring drive here, they might just about put this one away. Mike Dingle, the fullback, look at him. A 6'3 sophomore, spelling Keith Bing. He averages 4 yards a carry, a highly touted high school performer coming out of Moncks Corner, South Carolina, and getting some playing time here. So a first down as the ball is moved to the 40 of NC State. Ken Watson is in as a tight end for South Carolina. There's the fullback, Keith Bing. You saw on the ground Calvin Stevens, the right guard, 68, leading the way. And now to the sidelines. Here's an update from Chris Fowler.
Okay, Bob, Naz Worthen, the North Carolina State wideout, is in the locker room right now. He ran off with ice on his left hamstring, a problem he has suffered through before. We'll keep you posted on whether or not he'll be able to come back. Bob.
Well, that's too bad for NC State. He's had a big night, but evidently it might be over. 2nd and 7 after 37. A pitch to Mike Dingle. Dingle, a backup fullback, who now is spelling Harold Green at tailback. very elusive runner, Kevin. They want to get the ball deep to him and let him take time to find something to work with.
Well, of course, that's the beauty of the I formation. And again, you look at Joe Morrison, that's his game plan. His game plan is to keep the ball, be very conservative. He's got a quarterback that's thrown 9 interceptions over the past 2 games, going on 3 now, and he hasn't thrown one tonight. So he's not going to take any chances. He feels like his defense can control the game, and he's going to try to control the offense with his offense.
3rd and 4. They've been bad on 3rd down tonight. But they look pretty good on that one. It's pulled down by Harden Brown. Inside the 15, it'll be 1st down for South Carolina as Todd Ellis makes a big play.
Mark Fryer injured earlier, number 78, doing a nice job there on Agnew, and that's going to give Ellis plenty of time. And without pressure, this kid's one of the better passers in the nation. This one's right on the money. Nice throw right in front of that defender.
1st down at the 13. He pitched Mike Dingle again. And out to trip him up, Ray Agnew, 93, the left tackle. The Howe Towels, though, have been fairly quiet tonight. Nothing much for the Wolfpack to howl about.
Ray Agnew's had a knee sprain, but he's just quick and strong. The guy gets rid of the defender and in on Dingle. He's a guy they've had to control. Remember, this team has only given up a touchdown to one other team this year, and that was Maryland.
2nd and 9. Only touchdown given up tonight came because of the other team's defense. Keith Bing, the fullback, cracking down to the 10. So it'll be 3rd down there. They have to get to the 3 for a 1st down without scoring. It'll be 3rd and 7. To the tailback. So no 1st down as Ellis and Dingle collide. Mark Thomas finally making the stop. Boy, the way Dingle's been running, that's about the only way he can be stopped is to run into his own man. It'll be 4th down.
Yeah, but Dingle is new in the game now, and evidently a mess up here. It looked like it was supposed to be some kind of a draw or a counter. Dingle maybe went the wrong way. You have to assume it was Dingle because Ellis plays a lot more. I'm wondering where Harold Green is.
4th and 5 at the 8. Colin Mackey is on. This will be a 25-yarder from near the right hash mark. Your basic chip shot. And with 8 seconds left in the 3rd quarter, South Carolina adds 3 more. It's 13-0 for the Gamecocks.
State doesn't give up a touchdown, but they give up a big 3 points, and that's going to make it tough with Worthen out of the game.
And will Coach Morrison continue his, so far, successful march through the state of North Carolina?
North Carolina, they opened up with North Carolina. That was their first game, 31-10. Western Carolina, 38-0. Eastern Carolina, 17-0. They just ripped right through the state.
Well, that's a collective 99-10 against the other Carolina schools. Nobody's been able to score on these guys, and you can bet that that'll be a recruiting song heard by a lot of high school youngsters in the next year in these parts.
Losing Worthen has really hurt him on the special teams. On the last punt, Varn had to catch the thing. It was a fair catch. Worthen had been picking up big yardage on punts. Kickoff, same thing. Really a big blow to have Worthen out of the game.
Eric Markle to kick it. Chris Williams is back deep. There's Harold Green, who watched from the sidelines as sophomore Mike Dingle did some good work on that field goal scoring drive.
Appears to be all right. He has been injured throughout the year, but I guess they just decided to give Dingle some work.
He'll be strong in the 4th quarter if he's okay. A rather short kick. Williams up to get it at his 17. Cuts right, cuts up the middle, and cuts right again out to the 44. So Chris Williams gives NC State some life with a 31-yard kickoff return. And the scoreboard shows 1 second remaining in the third quarter of play. So they used up all but 1 second of the quarter on the kickoff return. So we've got 1 play left before they change ends. The drive went 44 yards. Their last field goal drive went 43. 8 plays over 212. And Colin Mackey, 2 for 2 on the night. Danny Peebles and Eugene Peters out wide, left and right. They're looking long down the middle. Peebles inside the 10 as the third quarter ends. No flags, and NC State will start the fourth quarter in tremendous position.
First down, a little bit of play action. There's Hinton again. And now this thing is a zone, and People just splits it right in the seam. Montgomery right in the seam with him. Stephane Williams never gets there. There you go. It's been a long time coming, but Danny Peebles, finally a big play for North Carolina State. They trail by 13 points, but they're on the move.
Renewed hope for Wolfpack followers here in Raleigh. The third quarter ending on a 50-yard play from Shane Montgomery to Danny Peebles. And it'll be first and goal at the 5 as the fourth quarter gets underway.
And Tyrone Jackson is in the game. He's a running back. He is not a great receiver, and it's a power formation. Look for him to run.
3 tight ends in the game for NC State. Deep man. 43 is Tyrone Jackson. A flag on the play back at the 7-yard line. This is their deepest penetration since their first possession of the game when they got to the 16, and then the long interception. Offside on the defense. Looked like Derek Little trying to shoot the gap, got across too quickly.
Okay, now this is a team, it's a situation team. Here they go, right up the middle. They just bury the defense, and Tyrone Jackson can smell the goal line. Now this guy's not a pass receiver. When he is in the game, they're pretty much telling you they're going to run the ball.
Great block on the play by fullback Mal Crite, partly responsible for that huge hole. So it's 1st and 3 as they go half the distance to the goal line.
You got to meet the first blocker. You go to the power defensively. You've got to bury the first blocker and pile it up. If he gets into that secondary, you have no chance.
There he is again. They'll unpile somewhere between the 2 and the 1. Tyrone Jackson, a redshirt freshman out of Temple Hills, Maryland, out of that great DeMatha High School program that's produced so many great skill players over the years for colleges around the country. It'll be 2nd and goal at the 1.
Now this is what a defensive player lives for, Bobby. Even when you're backed up to your own goal line, I mean, this is what it's all about. You know where they're going, and it's you against them. I think they might be discussing. There's a lineman maybe in the game in the offensive backfield. That may be what they're discussing.
Brock Miller, the left tackle, coming over. Dick Sheridan, Robbie Caldwell, the offensive line coach. Ted Kane, offensive coordinator, in on the discussion. On a 2nd and goal at the 1, North Carolina State got exactly what it needed with that long pass play. The next thing they need is an early score in the fourth quarter. And if Naz Worthen can come back, they might have a chance.
The soft field is going to be a problem for him with that hamstring. All right, here they come. You got to believe they're going to go right.
Quarterback for the touchdown. Shane Montgomery His first running score of the year, and he followed his All-ACC center Chuck Massaro. It's 13-6. Less than a minute into the fourth quarter. Damon Hartman 18 for 18 this year. No problem. And it's a 13-7 game as NC State gets the quick strike it needed so badly. First time they've scored in almost 2 years against these guys.
Gotta feel good. Underneath this pile is going to be the All-Italian, All-American Chuck Massaro plowing through for quarterback Shane Montgomery. And at NC State, they know how big this touchdown is.
14:04 remaining in the game, and tonight's game is being brought to you by the U.S. Armed Forces. It's a great place to start. By the new generation of Oldsmobile. Step into the future now at your Oldsmobile dealer. And by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. Welcome back to Raleigh. We're 56 seconds into the fourth quarter. NC State, after 3 quarters of frustration, finally on the scoreboard. And it's a ball game at 13-7. An impressive scoring drive that was keyed by the 50-yard pass from Montgomery to Peebles. It covered 55 yards in only 3 plays and took just over a minute. Robert Brooks and Gerald Williams back to receive the kickoff of Brian Carter. The Gamecock of South Carolina is still confident about this one. This one has a long way to go. There's Carter, the junior. It'll be Robert Brooks at his 12. Cuts back into the middle. And not much on the return. About 13 yards to the 25-yard line and to the sidelines. Here's Chris Fowler.
Okay, Bob, when your fans are thinking Orange Bowl, they throw oranges on the field. When they want to go to the Florida Citrus Bowl, I guess they throw tangerines. The game used to be called the Tangerine Bowl. As we've told you, this game critical to NC State's chances to go to that Florida Citrus Bowl. The fans trying to urge them on. Back to you, Bob.
All right. More food on a nice, cool evening like this. That would taste pretty good. Big series now for South Carolina offensively. NC State on defense. And it's Mike Dingle. Good yardage out over the 30. They need to get a good drive now. You know, Kev, we go back to that previous drive of South Carolina. So they drive in for a touchdown and go up 17-0. They might just about put a lid on this one. They don't get the 7. They settle for 3. And suddenly they're less than a touchdown ahead.
How incredible is this performance by the State defense, too? They still haven't given up a touchdown.
2nd and 4. Harold Green is the deep man. That's who they give us to. And out near the 35. His helmet has a first down, but I don't think the ball does. It'll be 3rd and short. Jesse Campbell from strong safety on the stop. They have spotted it short.
68 and 78. Stevens and Fryer just double teaming people, making a hole, and Green finding it. And generally, South Carolina will run into the boundary. If it's on the hash mark, they will run into the short side of the field. And they've been making it work.
Did you see that play by Jesse Campbell, though? Already being blocked down and still reached up to trip up the ball carrier. This kid is something. Less than the length of the ball short. It'll be 3rd and less than a foot.
Dick Sheridan told us, when we asked him about being a #1 defense in the country, he said to us, if we're the #1 defense in the country coming out of this game,
that's right,
we'll be doing fine as a coach for you. Well, here's where you find out about your people right here. Defense, the line has got to hold the offensive line, and then you've got to be there.
To the stripe is where they have to go. Fullback. It'll be very close. Harold Green was the up man that time, a tailback playing fullback. It looked to me like his forward progress got the first down, and then they shoved him back.
This number 98, Atleta, keeping his feet. What a great job. Keeping his feet, getting his head up and catching Green, but not in time to stop him from getting a first down.
Made it by maybe the length of the ball. Clock runs with 12:35 remaining. 13-7. South Carolina. Green again. Good yardage. He has 7 or more. John Adlita this time getting back to pull down the ball carrier.
Okay, the thing the running back has to do, he's got to read the lineman's block. Here's Fryer and Stevens again going outside, and Green will come right off their back. Good running back. You know, we're lucky, really, he's healthy for this game. We're getting to see one of the great running backs in the country. One of the reasons they changed the offense was to get him involved in it, and then he got injured. Fryer leaving again. He's hurt.
Nothing there for Keith Bing on 2nd and 3. John Adlita backing up Elijah Austin. They've been switching off in nose guard tonight. Adlita, the senior, Austin, the sophomore. Yeoman duty by both of them tonight.
Anytime you get the fullback going laterally, and they did, then you've done your job. Bing is not the type of guy that's going to swivel his way out of that thing. Big down here, 3rd and about 2.
And it's a rather long 2. Short yardage tonight. They're 5 for 5. This one, according to how it's marked, requires about a 2.5-yard gain on the play. And timeout has been called by South Carolina. Todd Ellis does not want anything to be amiss on this important 3rd down attempt. 11:14 left. The Gamecocks lead by 6. Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh, home of the Wolfpack of NC State. We've got 11:14 remaining. 13-7 for the visiting Gamecocks of South Carolina, who face a big 3rd and 2. Again, they've got to get about 2.5 yards for the first down. They fake the pitch. The quarterback throws it complete for the first down to Trent Simpson. His first catch of the year. He's a 6'4" junior. They don't have a true tight end on this team as a residual of the run-and-shoot offense.
Great call here. Just a great call. They've got everybody going the other way. The first time they've run it, Ellis doing a nice job just dropping it to Simpson. That's pretty good coverage, too. He didn't make it by much, but he was wide open for as long as it took.
Nice play by a former defensive lineman. The other so-called tight end, sophomore Ken Watson, was a running back. So it's 1st and 10 at the 47 as the drive continues. Ellis setting up the screen. Green across midfield. Room, and he was tripped up by his own blocker. '65 Randy Harwell, the center, was out in front of him, and they got their feet tangled up, or else it might have been a much bigger game.
Great call late in the game because you got to change direction twice. Okay, it's not a run, so you've got to get back. Now it's a pass, a screen. You've got to get forward. Frost goes down. He's tired. You can see the NC State defenders. They're just a little heavy-legged, and Green doing a great job of picking his way through the defense. Great call on first down by South Carolina.
Mike Dingle is in at tailback behind Keith Bing, the fullback. Clock runs with 10:10 remaining. This is Dingle. They switch it out to the far side, but Dingle gets 5 or so as Lee Knight, the strong side backer, finally knocked him out.
You might just call Dingle old fresh legs. They put fresh legs in the game against that tired defense, and it's tough.
The Rockets winners tonight. East Washington over Idaho State. Big early. A struggle out west. The Bears and the Cats at 2nd and 5 with 10:05 remaining. Fake to the fullback. Give to the tailback. Nice defense there by Lee Knight, the inside backer on Mike Dingle. It'll be 3rd and short right in front of the goalposts. Our second half storyline here in Raleigh. Colin Mackey of South Carolina, a couple of field goals. The time of possession vastly in favor of the visiting team. Naz Worthen, a big night, averaging 14 yards a catch, and Todd Ellis with one big pass play tonight, accounting for almost half of that 112.
But no interceptions, which is key. One interception.
Up over the top, and it looks like a first down. John Adlita undercutting Mike Dingle, who's turned into a real worker for Joe Morrison and company here late in the game.
Fryer and Stevens again, 68 and 78. They bury him and keep going, which is important. That's 3 big 3rd downs now that South Carolina's converted on this drive. And I meant to say that time of possession that we just saw, very big when you think about the state defense being on the field that much longer than the South Carolina defense.
First down at the 20. Clock runs under 9 minutes. Play action. Pressure. End zone. Touchdown. Eddie Miller. A redshirt freshman from Decatur, Georgia with a dandy grab. And South Carolina stretches the lead.
If you look at their first down calls in the second half, I'm sure half of them are passes. First down, Miller, and a great pass by Ellis and a tremendous catch over Joe Johnson. And Johnson is a guy that people have not gone after all year, but late in the game, Ellis with the perfect pass and Miller with the great catch on first down.
On the conversion, Colin Mackey. It's 20-7 with 8:54 left.
We talked earlier about Ellis having problems with pressure. He's been coming apart a little bit. Not here, though. Under pressure. That was the result of that pass. Mike Jones just clobbers him, but Ellis had put it right on the money. And fast.
All right. He's strutting his stuff. So are the Gamecocks, leading 20-7. 20-yard pass from Todd Ellis. Nicely done to Eddie Miller. 5 minutes off the clock with a long 75-yard drive that took 11 plays.
3 big first downs on 3rd and short for South Carolina in that drive, and that made the difference. First touchdown now by any other team except Maryland. And you can tell they're frying on the NC State bench. Their ears are burning and their hair too.
So with 8:54 left, the Wolfpack will get it back, and down by 13, they'll need another big play and a quick strike somewhere along the line again. They're definitely within reach. 2 touchdowns, 2 extra points wins it, but they've got to do something they weren't able to do until last time with the ball. Right after the game, SportsCenter will check in with John Saunders and Tom Mees for the latest from this Saturday of sports. A wrap-up of today's college football games, but the rest of the day as well. That's right after the game tonight. Colin Mackey will kick the high onside. It's taken at the 30-yard line and covered there by South Carolina's 29, Cedric Surratt, a defensive back with action on the special teams. Check it, 29 for NC State, Steve Sally, a flag on the play. And it's laying back at the 40-yard line. South Carolina might have been out ahead of the football on that kickoff play.
Offsides on the kickoff. Penalty decline. First down.
NC State will take the field position inside their own 35 with 8:52 left. Shane Montgomery with Mal Cripe, Todd Vaughn in the backfield. Looking right side. The ball is delivered nicely to Vaughn, circling out from tailback. So here we go to second down, and they'll move the chains actually, and here is the first down play coming up as they'll move the chains in a hurry out to the 48-yard line.
That was the second catch by a running back tonight. The rest have gone to the wide receiver, Bobby.
I've always wondered why teams don't go to the hurry-up offense this early all the time. Montgomery unloads it. He's got his tight end, Bobby Harrell. But the ball evidently was given up on the play, and South Carolina has it. Patrick Hinton with a hit, and then a fumble, and the Gamecocks have the ball back at midfield.
Well, I'll tell you, Hinton's had a big game. They went to the running back, and then they're going to go to the tight end. Now, this is the first attempt and the first catch by a tight end tonight. Montgomery under great pressure with the blitz. Good pass. Hits Harrell. Turner with the tackle. Big hit, and the ball winds up. It's an interception. We'll call it a fumble interception. Hinton gets the ball, and he's on his way south again. That's the third time tonight he's gotten a turnover.
8.5 minutes remaining. Draw play, Harold Green, who will not show up huge in the statistics of the scoring tonight, Kevin, but he's been such an important man for this team in terms of ball control.
Right, Bob, and that's exactly what this has been. It's been a ball control game. They've worn down the NC State defense, and of course that turnover is the worst thing that could happen to the Wolfpack, because now they're back on the field, and their fatigue was really shown in the last series.
And the clock runs under 8 minutes right now. 20-7, South Carolina over NC State. Second down and 4. The pitch again to Green. His job is to get the first down, and if he can stay inbounds, he does. And now we go to the studio. Here's Tim Brando.
All right, Bob, I found out where you're going, but first let me show you the first game of next week's doubleheader. Oklahoma against Oklahoma State. Then Florida State against South Carolina. One less depth chart for you to make next week, Carpenter. I'm out of here for now. Getting ready for Northern Iowa and Northern Arizona Thursday night with Stan White. I got 2 depth charts to make, Bob.
We might as well just stay here. We've only got to go down the road, Kev.
It's come down to depth charts, has it?
First and 10. I'd like to see some of Brando's charts, too.
Yeah. He writes them on the back of his hand.
First and 10 from the 41. There's the fullback, Keith Bing, inside the 40. And so on first down, he gets maybe 3. Corey Edmond, inside linebacker, on the stop. That'll be a big game in the Big 8 next week. Oklahoma State and OU both 7-1 on the year, but Oklahoma State's loss is in the conference. And we'll get to see some pretty dandy independents match things up down in Columbia.
Get back to that Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. That'll be a track meet and a great game. Maybe one of the most evenly matched games between those two teams in many, many years. Rushing yardage, South Carolina, 185. NC State, not at all.
Big hit there by John Adlita. Lee Knight helping out from inside linebacker as well, 38.
Again, the significance of this game for North Carolina State. Remember, even though they remain tied for the conference lead and have beaten Clemson, this was an opportunity for them to have beaten another ranked team and move up in the national rankings. The team at the end of the season, if they are tied in the Atlantic Coast Conference that is more highly ranked in the UPI poll, will go to the Citrus Bowl.
Ellis has to improvise. Off balance, dumps it down the field. It's caught by Carl Platt. And that's the first down inside the 30. And it's looking bad for the home team.
Well, a lot of fatigue here. I mean, these guys, it's not the same defense that started the game. Ellis able to move around. He's not a scrambling quarterback. And Platt did a good thing. He found the open spot when he knew Ellis was in trouble, and Ellis was able to get him the ball.
Come on, Platt! Come on, Platt! Come on, Platt! Let's go, let's go, let's go! Let's go, Dave! Let's go, Dave!
Yeah, the Wolfpack needs a big play for the defense. Clock runs with 5:35 remaining as they dump it to the deep man. Harold Green. He's out of Ladson, South Carolina, a 6'2", 215 junior who on his career is well up over 1,700 yards. He came in number 11 on the all-time South Carolina rushing chart. And the clock runs on.
State has got to come now. They've got to blitz. They've got to make something happen here. Green has played just a tremendous game. Very quietly has been the big man on offense, getting the tough yards.
Mike Dingle behind fullback Keith Bing. Bing has it inside the 30. It'll be 3rd and long as Billy Ray Haynes, the freshman, made the tackle, and down to the sidelines to Chris Fowler.
Okay, Bob, NC State figures to have to throw long when they get the ball back. They'll be hurt by the fact that Naz Worthen, their speedster, will not return. He has injured his left hamstring. Doctors are going to hold him out as a precaution. He's had trouble earlier with his right hamstring. It's his left tonight. He won't be back.
So a big night. There you see him touching the left hamstring there. It's a disabling injury for a speedy guy who caught 10 balls for 141 yards. Here's Mike Dingle. First down inside the 20. Down near the 15. Fernandez Vinson finally on the stop as the secondary has to make the tackle.
Well, again, this is fatigue. This is a play that really probably wouldn't have broken early. You can see the trap blocking, a lot of cross blocking inside, and then the fresh legs of Dingle. Vincent makes a touchdown, almost a fumble, touchdown saving tackle. 230-pound fullback, but he's really playing out of the tailback position tonight.
And he's only a sophomore. In fact, he was a Prop 48 freshman, so he's basically a rookie. He's rushed 9 times for 51 yards, all since halftime. First down at the 16. There he is again. Just slanting his way ahead for a yard, maybe. Lee Knight, left inside linebacker on the stop. The clock is down to 3:40 remaining.
Hour 95, we've showed you all night. One of the best in the country. Look at him. Just a great job with his hands, protecting his legs. Right there to make the play on Dingle. He's had a big game.
Second down and 9. Scott Auer and the Wolfpack digging in, but they've been unable to stop the Gamecocks here. There's George Rush. Inside the 10 to the 6 and out of bounds. Very close to another first down. Jesse Campbell rode him out. So George Rush, a backup tight end to Carl Platt.
Very simple, very safe. Game plan pretty much over Auer. And Rush out in the flat, not trying to get too much, throwing it underneath and then out of bounds. It's South Carolina's offensive game plan as well as their defense has been brilliant and caused Dick Sheridan, you see there, and the Wolfpack some problems tonight.
3rd and 1 at the 6 and another long drive. They went 5 minutes and 5 seconds earlier. Airborne, Dingle inside the 5. It'll be 1st and goal. Calvin Stevens checks out from right guard, 68. First and goal inside the 5. And it's Mike Dingle again. Ridden down by Fernandez Vincent at the left cornerback. You know, pretty good threesome here, Kevin. Keith Bing, the big blocker, the fullback, does the work on short yardage. And if they can keep Harold Green healthy and complement him with Dingle, they'll have some fresh legs in the 4th quarters of games this year.
And they've made it work here. Look at this. Short yardage on 3rd down, 8 for 8. Some say that South Carolina has the 3 best backs as a tandem in the country.
Harold Green back in behind Keith Bing on 2nd and goal at the 4. Green has it, makes his turn, and is knocked out of bounds after little, if any, gain.
Boy, that's a good job by that North Carolina State defense getting to the sideline late in the game. They've got to be exhausted, but they're still making those plays laterally.
If you're wondering about South Carolina's remaining schedule, as you see Arkansas holding on to beat Rice, and the Hogs are still unbeaten. South Carolina, of course, with Florida State next week. We'll see it on ESPN's prime time. And then a week later, Navy in Columbia, and they finish the season at Clemson. So some tough ones ahead for the Gamecocks, who could go 10-1. There's the end around. Nothing for Eddie Miller. Jesse Campbell, number 42. We call this number a lot tonight on big plays, and it'll be a field goal kicking situation.
You take a look at number 42 because you're looking at a future All-American if he doesn't make it this year. This kid's got an incredible nose for the football. He's played great all year and had a big night tonight. Number 42, Jesse Campbell, great player.
Colin Mackey.
Excuse me, sophomore.
A 32-yard attempt. He's 2 for 2 tonight. Right down the middle. Mackey in his career now 13 for 18. It'll stretch to 23-7. The South Carolina lead with 1 minute and 15 seconds remaining. Jesse Campbell, actually a redshirt freshman. He's going to be around for a while, and he's projected by some as an All-ACC and a freshman All-American. I don't see any reason why not. And right now, Coach Joe Morrison and his Gamecocks in control of this one. It will take 3 scores to beat them.
It's been a tough couple of weeks for Joe Morrison, and we saw him this morning. We spoke with him. I think just looking at the man, he just seemed like he'd had such an awful 2 weeks. He was glad to get on the bus, to get away from the controversy surrounding the article about the steroids, and what a remarkable job. This is his 100th win, certainly under circumstances that could have been better, but he got his team ready to play against what really is a great team. Those of you that remember him from New York Giant days, Joe Morrison's a guy that really came from the old school, and it must be difficult for him to deal with some of the problems of today's football.
Game day, 11:30 Eastern tomorrow as they preview the NFL day of action at 7 o'clock. A new start time, mark it down. Back with highlights of every game played on NFL prime time. And then the Redskins and the Oilers at 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night as ESPN kicks off its 8-week coverage of NFL Sunday night prime time. Short and high kick at the 30-yard line. Steve Sally fair catching it. It'll be 1st and 10 at the 31. And frustration on the North Carolina State bench. They were hammered at Columbia a year ago, 48-0. They wanted revenge and were in a position to get back in it early in the 4th quarter, but South Carolina has taken control of the game, and there's only 1:14 remaining.
Nothing for them to be ashamed of. A great effort by North Carolina State. But South Carolina, good team.
Well, the defense did about all it could do tonight for as long as it could. Shane Montgomery over the middle, looking for Eugene Peters. He was leveled. Derek Little, 99. Todd Harrison watching the action from the NC State bench. A good part of the 50,000 plus on their way homes already. 2nd and 10. Tipped. And again, short for Peters. Marty Dye on left tackle. Right after our telecast, back to join Tom Mees and John Saunders at SportsCenter. They'll have not only a wrap-up of today's college football, but a look at the rest of the day in SportsCenter right after we wrap things up here in Raleigh. Well, I don't think with UCLA losing that South Carolina will be #1. They've got a ways to go, but they've got a top 10 look to them again, and this one is picked off again. It's Patrick Hinton. What a night for him. Inside the 30 and out of bounds. That's 4 for the sophomore linebacker out of Atlanta. A game to remember.
Well, you give Patrick Hinton a game ball, certainly, but Joe Lee Dunn should get a game ball, too. 2 weeks. They changed up that pressure defense. They went to a zone, and Patrick Hinton is the star. He ought to have a Z on his back. He's the star of this zone. Look at him sitting out there in the flat again. I watch him direct traffic here. He's been carrying the ball more tonight than the running backs for NC State. He says, get that guy right there. Okay. And now linebackers don't do this. He runs out of bounds. He had a chance to run over that guy. He shouldn't have done that.
Well, he has over 100 yards running tonight.
Yeah, that's right.
Got 83 of them in 1 carry. What a night for Patrick Hinton.
That's a youngster, too.
Under a minute left. First down at the 27 of NC State. Harold Green and Mike Dingle the backs. Fumble on the exchange, and Ellis will just fall on it.
I really shouldn't gloss over that. Joe Lee Dunn is the defensive coordinator here, and when you think about all the things that have surrounded this program for 2 weeks, what a remarkable job they did getting ready. The zone that he put in was just absolutely perfect. It shut down the NC State offense for that first half and gave South Carolina their first touchdown of the game. Great game plan.
South Carolina will be 7-1 on the year. NC State will fall to 6-2. They'll still be 4-1 and tied for first in the ACC. Time to announce our Casio player of the game, and we give it to Patrick Hinton. The linebacker, the sophomore of the Gamecocks, with 3 picked off a fumble recovery tonight. What a night for him, and this one is over. 23-7, South Carolina wins it over North Carolina State.
Tremendous effort. Hats off to South Carolina. They may not be number one in the country, but you could bet they're number one in Columbia. Great job, too, by NC State, and working on a very young team, and I'm sure next year they'll be just as tough as they are this year, maybe better.
All right, Chris and the coach in position. Mr. Fowler, it's all yours. Little prop